Good evening, Yorktown, and welcome to tonight's Town Board meeting. It is December 20th, 2022. A happy Hanukkah to all, a very Merry Christmas, and a Happy New Year, happy and healthy 2023. As we've done this whole month, we are doing things a bit differently. This being my last... couldn't even get there. Last meeting.
His last public meeting for the town only.
For the town board. And so, working with Councilman Diana, who's our deputy supervisor, we've been focused for the last 6 weeks on a very smooth and efficient and effective transition. And running the town board meetings, chairing the town board meetings is one of the most important aspects of being town supervisor. And I wanted to make sure that Councilman Diana had that experience under his belt going into January to make sure that town business continues to move forward and we continue to be effective as a town board. And so Councilman Diana has been diligent in his transition. He has been doing a great job getting immersed in all the nuances of being town supervisor. And so, again, having him chair this meeting as he has the previous 3 of this month is an important aspect of his transition. And so it's been wonderful working with him. I have complete confidence that he's going to be able to continue the great work that we've been undertaking here for the last 3 years. He's going to do a great job chairing these meetings, and I'm honored to be turning it back over to our Deputy Supervisor, Tom Diana.
Thank you, Matt. Thank you so much. Oftentimes, folks, and then we'll just rise for the pledge to the flag, that when there's a transition that takes place, it's not generally a smooth one. This has been smooth as glass, and Matt has worked with me 100% to bring us to where we are tonight, and I will bring it forward from this point forward and give you my best. So, can we all rise for the pledge to the flag?
You're going to speak right into there. Come here, cutie.
I would like to ask Charlie Slater to lead us in the pledge to the flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good job. If we just remain standing, please, for a moment of silence. Please keep in your thoughts and prayers all of our troops, first responders, and everyone that keeps us safe out there that can't be home for this holiday this year. Please keep them all in your thoughts and prayers. Thank you. Amen.
All right, guys, go back to mommy. Go back to mommy. Good job. Good job. Good job. Go back. Alrighty. Introductions and then to Kevin?
Sure.
Take it off.
Okay. Introductions. I'm going to start to my right.
Good evening, Diana Quast, Town Clerk.
Tom Diana, Deputy Supervisor, Councilman.
Matt Slater, Town Supervisor.
Councilman Ed Lachterman.
Sergio Esposito, Councilman.
Councilwoman Luciana Howitt.
Adam Rodriguez, Town Attorney.
Anybody else over there? No. Okay. Kevin Burns, I know that you had something you were going to say for us tonight, and I'd love to have you come up now if you could. It's a little bit out of order, but I know you got
He's got daddy duty.
daddy duty.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Deputy Supervisor, incoming Supervisor Tom Diana, Supervisor Slater, and members of the board and members of the public from the great town of Yorktown. It is an honor to be here before you at your last town board meeting. That is my little guy in the back. Hey, little.
Hey, Braden. Hey, Braden.
So today was a busy day. I'm focused on transition for Putnam County, going into my new role come January as county executive. Picked up Braden from daycare, picked up some food, came over here because we wanted to be here for this last meeting because, quite frankly, in just the simplest of terms and ways, I want to say thank you. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to serve this entire town, this beautiful town, for the last 6 years as your representative in the State Assembly. It's been a tremendous honor and a privilege, despite the odds and despite some of the naysayers saying that you can't get anything done in Albany. And it's true there's plenty of challenges and roadblocks that get before any state representative. We still got a lot of important things done for Westchester, for Putnam, and for the state of New York. We were going through some of the numbers, and just in 6 years, we helped pass over 70 bills that we co-sponsored. We individually introduced and passed over 25 bills in the Assembly that passed, 21 of them that passed the Senate and were signed into law. I was at an event just the other week with Supervisor Slater at Yorktown Heights Fire Department. We were able to highlight one of the grants we were able to bring back, and if you pay attention to paper, I don't always celebrate every grant we get back because, quite frankly, it takes some time for the money to flow from the Dormitory Authority of the State of New York back down to local governments. But just standing here now, I'm reminded, actually, Diana Quast at a Rotary meeting brought up the need several years ago, back in 2017. They were initially looking to use state funding for a boat, for a marine unit, but the fire department ended up repurposing it for a specialized underwater drone, which is really awesome and is a tremendous asset for their underwater, their dive rescue team, their special teams. But truly, I just want to say thank you for every town board, for every administration, whether it was the Grace administration, the Gilbert administration, or Slater administration. We've worked well, regardless of party, with our partners in local government in every town. And when it rubber meets the road about constituent services or passing laws to help towns, you got to focus on the people and not so much on the partisan politics. It's hard to see that sometimes because when you're paying attention to the news, all the headline grabbing, a lot of it's the negative stories. But if you actually dig into the numbers, people would be shocked that probably 90% of the legislation that passes out of Albany is almost unanimous. It's bipartisan, but it's the 10% you're always going to read about that's controversial, where we fight over, and hopefully it's based on principled arguments that we all believe in. But it's been an honor to serve the people of Yorktown, and I really just wanted to say thank you. With that, I wanted to provide one other thing. Oh, by the way, if you don't know, I thought it was all done. I actually cleaned out my office in Albany a couple weeks ago. Everything was out, checked out. Hey, Brady. Oh, thank you for my water. That's so kind.
Welcome to the club, man.
I feel like Marco Rubio with the water, right? Or was that? No. Anyway, we actually were wrapping up, cleaning all of our offices out, gearing up. We have a very smooth transition with our succeeding assembly member, which I'm very honored about and very proud of. But then I just got a text today on my birthday that, happy birthday, Kevin. You're going to come back to Albany on Thursday because there's a special session. So for those that are not tracking this, because it's going to be a couple days before Christmas Eve, the New York State Legislature is trying to give themselves a massive pay raise to make themselves the highest paid state legislature in the country, going from a salary of $110,000 to $142,000 a year, with a prohibition on outside income. So I will go up there and trust that I will be voting no. I do believe every legislator should be paid the same. But at the same time, I think they're compensated well enough. So I'll be voting no, and that's this Thursday. But speaking about what will happen for the next state legislature, very proud of who our succeeding assembly member is, Matt Slater. And one of the things I wanted to do was, before he starts giving out assembly citations and proclamations, I thought it would be fitting to give one to him.
Yeah.
So, you give a round of applause for Matt. Come on. I know you give a lot of these out, Matt. Hey, Supervisor, why don't you get down here? Just come on. You bring the kids, right?
Take your baby.
I know you give a lot of these out as town supervisor, but in the state assembly, very similar format. It's on behalf of all the hardworking people of the 94th Assembly District, as it's presently drawn, right? little modification there. We want to thank you for your many years of service to the people of Yorktown in your various capacities. And I won't read this whole big, impressive proclamation that was drafted by our staff. But we want to thank you most specifically for your time to the people in Yorktown as your time as town supervisor, and also congratulate you on your new path and your new journey in the state assembly, but also serving us in the United States Navy. So thank you, sir.
Thanks, Kev.
Happy birthday.
Everyone, our state assemblyman Kevin Burns. And I know Kevin's leaving, but Kevin, we talked about transition. Kevin, thank you for the citation. It means an awful lot, and I just really appreciate you rattling off your impressive resume that I have to now try to one up. So that's great. But for those who don't know, I like to tell this story, and I don't know if Kevin enjoys it as much as I do, but we've been friends since high school, actually. That's how long Kevin and I have known each other. My next door neighbor here in Yorktown wound up marrying and has 3 kids with his next door neighbor from Putnam Valley. So we spent a lot of time in high school gallivanting around and having a lot of fun. And Kevin's moving on to be the Putnam County Executive, where he's going to do an amazing job. He's been a great advocate for the town of Yorktown, and we are just so appreciative of, as you heard, just all the things that he was able to deliver for us. And yes, we were together over at the Yorktown Heights Loxley Fire Station looking at that ROV, which is very, very impressive and couldn't have happened without Assemblyman Burns. So Kevin, best of luck to your next endeavor as county executive. I know we're not going to be too far from each other. And thank you so much on behalf of our community for all of your years of service in the State Assembly, advocating on our behalf for the last 6 years. So again, I applaud you and thank you for your service. And before I forget, Kev, happy birthday, buddy.
Happy birthday, Kev.
And Braden, my man.
Here he comes.
Great job. Are you going to get Daddy a birthday cake? Yeah? Yeah? We're going to go sing happy birthday to Daddy on the way home. We'll see you later, Braden. Thanks again, guys. Appreciate you coming by.
All right.
Now he wants cake.
Cake. He wants cake. Okay. Report from our supervisor.
Oh, yeah. That's right. I forgot. Well, just a couple of things to just cap on here. I want to start by wishing a good friend of mine, Tony Grasso, a happy 95th birthday. We talked about birthdays. It's not just Kevin Burns, but Tony Grasso. Called him earlier today, left him a message. I hope, Tony, you're having a great birthday with the family. Tony, another fierce gladiator and advocate for the town of Yorktown for many, many, many years. And I do think at some point, hopefully, Deputy Supervisor, we can actually put a plaque on his seat. I told him it's always still here for him.
That's right.
For him and Jenny.
We can do a little
but
something like that.
Tony, wishing you a happy birthday. I do want to thank the Lakeland School District. Yvonne Check is here, and I don't know if she's going to be touching upon this, but through one of our youth council meetings came to be known the Lakeland School Board is getting they're replacing their smart boards. And so knowing that, I reached out to Dr. Gagliardi, and I asked her if she'd be willing to donate some to the town, because it would go a long way in helping our services, especially at the library and in some of our departments. And less than 5 minutes, she said absolutely no problem. And so we were able to obtain 15 smart boards, courtesy of the Lakeland School District at no cost. The taxpayers, a great partnership, and I really do want to thank Dr. G, the Lakeland School Board, and their staff for making that happen. 4 of them are going to be over at the John C. Hart Memorial Library. That's going to help with the number of different services. Again, I hope I'm not stealing your thunder, Yvonne, but when we talk about enhancing our presentations, enhancing our study capabilities, the smart boards are all going to be a part of that, and so we're thrilled to have that there. We're going to see them over in the planning department, maybe here in the town board room. But I know that several of our departments have already expressed interest in having one installed. So again, to the Lakeland School District, thank you. We also kicked off the holiday food drive with the Food Security Task Force. So if you're going over to Uncle G's for some last-minute Christmas shopping, know that there's a box in the front over by customer service. You can donate some non-perishable food, and it's going to go to help some of our most vulnerable neighbors. The Food Security Task Force is made up of the 4 food pantries in the town of Yorktown. I don't know if people know about that. St. Mary's and the First Presbyterian, by far they are regional leaders. They're the largest that we have here in town. I know a lot of people do a lot of work with them. We also have the Korean Church, Seventh Advent off of White Hill Road, and of course the Yorktown Community Food Pantry right in the Cappellini Center. But all those donations will be divided amongst the 4 food pantries. We can tell you, and you're going to hear from some of our great friends from the Garden of Hope about the need, the just immense demand that we're seeing in our community for food, for help, just dealing with food insecurity and hunger. And sometimes we take for granted the great community that we live in, but sadly, we do have these problems here in the town of Yorktown and our neighboring communities. And as I said, we'll hear more from the Garden of Hope on that. But thank you to the Food Security Task Force and Uncle Giuseppe's and ShopRite over in Cortland. They've donated as well products, and so as Trader Joe's is going to be participating directly with the food pantries, and so we've seen a lot of support on that initiative. I heard yesterday, I don't know if Joe Rena is here, but Joe Rena did give me an early Christmas present. The CVS for Route 202 has been approved after 3 years by DEP, and so that project is now going to be moving forward. So directly across the street from the BJ Shopping Center, a CVS, which the planning board had approved 2-3 years ago, now coming to be. I do want to thank, I don't know where she went, but I did want to thank the town clerk, Diana Quast, for today's coffee and cookies. I also want to thank her and her staff. We had a conversation at last week's town board meeting about town board minutes. Happy to see that they are now on the town's website as we had discussed, so I appreciate the efforts by the town clerk and her staff in that aspect. And lastly, Congressman Mondaire Jones was in Yorktown last week. No sound.
No sound.
Okay. Congressman Jones was in Yorktown last week presenting the $1.4 million check for the Halleck's Mills Sewer District. So not only did he keep his word, but he came with the actual check. The finance department tried depositing it, but apparently the banks didn't take it. But we do appreciate Congressman Jones for his advocacy. We wish him the best in his next chapter. I know he's been appointed to the Human Rights Commission, the National Human Rights Commission, so he's going to be doing some great work, and he was always a great partner to have for the town of Yorktown. And lastly, I just want to take some time, if it's okay, Deputy Supervisor?
You got it.
Is that okay? I think try my best here, but just to say a big thank you. We've got some flowers for my team. Got a great team, the A team. We've got Kira Brunner, Jenna Belcastro, who've been in the supervisor's office from day one. It's been just an amazing experience. We've really accomplished so much for our town. Looking back at it, and they were kind enough to put a great scrapbook together. We didn't have enough pages in the scrapbook to cover everything we did. But, this experience has been an honor of a lifetime. And it was funny, I was with a fellow Yorktown grad today, and he said, oh, you must feel, elated, uplifted, excited. And yes, I'm excited for the next chapter, but I am very sad about tonight. And but I do want to just recognize, like I said, a few people, starting with our A team. Jenna Belcastro, Kira Brunner, thank you so much for all you've done for me, my family, for this town, working around the clock. We've tackled some crazy things like a pandemic. They don't leave a manual for that up in the supervisor's office. But I think we did a great job, of course, getting information out to people. And just making sure that the town reached the full potential that we knew it always could. Kira and Jenna and myself, we're all products of this community. We take great pride in calling Yorktown home. All three of us graduated Yorktown High School. Actually, Mr. Altman commented on my Facebook post of us at lunch, one of our old teachers. And so we take great pride in what we do. We take great pride in coming to work every day and trying to make the community that we've grown up in, that we love so much, the very best that it can be. And I think that the product speaks for itself. And so I want to start by thanking both of you. Kira is going to be taking a ride with me up to Taconic to Albany, taking on a next adventure together. And Jenna Belcastro is going to be staying here at Town Hall, working with the next town board. I know how excited she is about that. But if I could just take a minute, Supervisor, Deputy Supervisor, and just present you with some flowers. The other person I just wanted to thank also is our town attorney, Adam Rodriguez. Adam has been a gladiator for the town. Apparently that's the word I'm going to keep using tonight since I've used it twice. But just a phenomenal partner, an expert in law, and I can tell you I've learned an awful lot from Adam. He really has been instrumental for myself, for our administration, for the town board, and I know he's going to continue doing great work on behalf of our constituents. And Adam skipped our little Christmas lunch today, but I do have something for Adam that, if it's okay, I'd like to give him. If you like it, you have to wear it, like now.
Don't open
I guess I got
Wait a minute, don't open it, Adam. Don't do it.
Teach you to not come to.
Not ticking.
Teach you, no, it's not. It's not ticking. Teach you not to come to lunch.
Not a Met hat, is it?
I wouldn't be that cruel.
Oh, baby.
I wouldn't be that cruel to you.
Ooh, it's going to go with the suit, too. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
We do.
Now, that's a
I
town
didn't think
attorney
my
right
wife
there.
could get any more annoyed when I watch Yellowstone. But
Now you
That's gonna
go.
do it.
Now you go.
Thank you.
No problem.
Looks good.
There's a few more things over there for you too, buddy. So enjoy and thank you. I really want to also just thank our department heads. Some of them are here today. I genuinely believe that we have the best department heads of any town that you can find. They are dedicated. They are loyal. They work harder than I think anyone gives them credit for. And so I really want to thank all of them, as well as the employees of Yorktown. Again, unfortunately, I think municipal employees get a bad rap. Our employees, I think, are second to none. Keith Kutroff and the CSEA board have been a pleasure to work with. We've had some issues that we've worked through, and we've done it together. And so I really can't thank Keith and the Serrato brothers enough for their leadership, their partnership, and all the employees for their dedication to this town. Whether it's the water department, the highway department, our administrative staff. There's so much that goes into running a town government. I just don't think anyone, unless you're immersed in it, really understands it. And to see what they all do every single day it's really inspiring. It really is. And so I just want to thank all of our employees. I couldn't help but just recognizing a few others. I'm a big believer. You get to stand on the shoulders of giants.
It's all right. Have a drink of water.
Whiskey. Yeah, that's what I
We
want.
only think that's water in there.
I wish it was something stronger. But like I said, you really do get to stand on the shoulders of giants, and I've been lucky enough and privileged to know some incredible people who've served this town. You look at that back wall that I get to stare at, and I've stared at time and time again. Those people, we wouldn't be here without them. And I tried my best to follow in their footsteps, to honor their service, and to continue to build on what they put down for us. People like Linda Cooper, who I met in elementary school when she was town supervisor, and I remember exactly the conversation. I remember exactly where we were, and it had that type of impact on me. And she, to this day, I call upon her, and I just think that she is just splendid. And hi, guys. And so to former supervisor Linda Cooper, thank you. Another dear friend, a genuine mentor. Someone, who I learned so much from is Alice Roker. Alice was and is just a tremendous partner for me. We went through that dark and terrible COVID pandemic together, and she was right there by my side. And I will never, ever forget all the lessons that she taught me. And I wish she was here tonight, and I wish her the best. But she, again, you talk about giants, and Alice Roker to me is one of Yorktown's legends. And then, another individual who sat on this board, who at times I spent more time with than my own family, Terrence Murphy. Guys like family. And I just hope that he's proud of what we were able to accomplish, the work that we put in. And again, just thinking about the three of them collectively, I think that we did our best to honor all of them, and I hope that they recognize that as well. I can spend time going through the accomplishments of the last 3 years, but I know we have business before us, and so I don't want to take up too much time more beyond what I already have. But I just, I want Yorktown to know that our best days are ahead of us. People ask me when I'm moving. I'm not moving. This is my home. I'm not going anywhere. My commute's longer. Instead of 5 minutes, it's an hour and 50 minutes. That's the difference. But I'm proud to call this community my home. I'm proud of what we've been able to accomplish. And I know the best days are still ahead. I know that to my core. And I know that because I know this town. I know the people who make up this town. Do we agree on everything? No, and that's okay. But we still find ways to work together. We still find ways to make sure the town continues to improve. And we always, always, always stand together. And, I talked about the Yorktown way a lot during the COVID-19 pandemic. And I believe in it. I genuinely, truly, to my core, believe in it. We lead with strength, but we always care for our neighbors. We always check in on them. We always make sure that the people who are having a hard time know that they have a helping hand right next to them whenever they need it. And so, it's just bittersweet that, like I said, I am excited for the next chapter, but I will always, always, always cherish, remember, and smile when I think about my time here as town supervisor. And so I just want to, again, on behalf of my family, who I neglected to thank, my mom's here, my grandmother's here. I think it's my grandmother's first town board meeting. She usually watches it at home, and then she calls me the very next morning to yell at me. So I don't know if I did something wrong. But my mom's here, my grandmother's here, and of course my wife, Kelly, our friend Jamie Sprague, who's been on this crazy roller coaster ride with us, and of course my kids. It takes sacrifice. It takes a lot of sacrifice, and the family is where you unfortunately they're on the receiving end of that sacrifice, and they've been committed with me on this mission, on this journey. I couldn't have done it without them, and I'm just eternally grateful. So my mom said that if I did anything wrong, she was going to move out of Yorktown, so she hasn't done that yet. So I take that as a good sign. But again, I just, from the bottom of my heart, just wanted to take some time and thank all of you, thank the town, thank everyone who's made this journey so amazing, so special. And to the town board, this and the previous town board, it has been a genuine pleasure to be a partner with you all. Again, the accomplishments, they speak for themselves. And that's both, in a bipartisan fashion and with the current town board. We continue to find ways just to make the town better. Every single day, win the day. That was a slogan that Senator Murphy had when I worked for him. Is win the day. And so I hope that I hope we did, and I believe so. So again, thank you all very much from the bottom of my heart.
job. Well, I guess we'll get on to reports from the council, but I was kind of hoping for flowers. Okay, but I didn't see any, but that's okay.
You don't bring me flowers.
Oh, God, he's singing.
Just, we didn't want the singing session.
Anyway, okay, we're going to do the reports from the council. I'm going to start out with saying thank you, Matt Slater. Thank you for the smooth transition that you've afforded me here to step into the new role, and I greatly, greatly, greatly appreciate it.
That was so cute.
This has been a great town board. I've been here now almost 8 years. This is one of the best, if not the best. I'm going to say it's the best town board. And I want to thank the board members who have been by my side and who will be by my side in the future. But especially Matt, who has steered this ship and has made it a great place to sit right here on this town board. Matt, thank you so much. Now we have a pretty heavy town board agenda, so I'm going to defer right down to Ed Lachterman, who I believe has a little reading he'd like to give to us here tonight.
Well, first off, I'd like to also thank you, Matt. Wonderful working with you. And I know we've worked together way before the town board, and it's been a pleasure. Thank you for all you've done. So the town board actually thought it would be fitting, since Matt has written so many proclamations and notices for the town, that he get one on the way out. So we'll go through this real quick, because I think it's important to highlight some of the things and the accomplishments, because talk about a trial by fire. From starting off with vandalism and then
January
COVID.
1.
Yeah, and then COVID. So it's been quite a ride. Whereas it is fit and proper to recognize the achievements of those individuals who substantially contribute in the vitality of our community and the entire town of Yorktown. And whereas Matt Slater took the oath of supervisor for the town of Yorktown on January 1st, 2020, and whereas Supervisor Matt Slater successfully led Yorktown through the COVID-19 pandemic, providing mass COVID-19 tests and organizing numerous vaccine clinics for Yorktown residents, and whereas Supervisor Matt Slater delivered the first town tax cut in more than 3 decades, and whereas though his economic development plans, Supervisor Matt Slater helped attract major investments like Trader Joe's, Uncle Giuseppe's, and several other transformative projects throughout Yorktown's 5 hamlets. And whereas Supervisor Matt Slater focused on important quality of life issues for our neighbors by investing in our parks, ensuring safe and accessible playgrounds for our youth, and whereas Supervisor Matt Slater worked in a bipartisan way, putting Yorktown residents first every day over the past 3 years, and now therefore be it resolved that his duly elected Deputy Town Supervisor of Yorktown, Tom Diana, Councilman Ed Lachterman, Councilman Sergio Esposito, and Councilwoman Luciana Hagwat of Yorktown do hereby offer our thanks and appreciation and recognize the achievements of Matthew J. Slater.
Thank you. Thanks.
And if I could just steal the thunder one more time, Matt, on behalf of myself and the entire town board, we'd like to present you.
Thank you. Thanks, buddy.
And we do expect to see that in Albany when
Yes.
we come to visit.
It'll be framed, I promise you that. Thanks, guys. Really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Matt.
Thanks, brother.
I don't know if Ed had anything else he wanted to go over.
I just wanted to let people know that the Sons of the American Legion have opened up the sale for the 2023 military tribute banners on their website, sal1009.org, sal1009ny.org, I believe it is. But you can do a search on that. So the military tribute banners will be going back up around Memorial Day, and they are available for sale. They make a great holiday gift. So please consider that for a veteran in your life. Actually, it could be active military as well. So you might be able to be right up there. So that will pass on to Councilman Esposito, just so we could get rolling along.
So, just a few things. First and foremost, Matt, I got to tell you, I'm gonna miss you. I'm gonna miss you, man. I really enjoyed a lot of the crazy things we do together, especially for the business community and the residents, and getting those texts. Hey, what are you doing in 10 minutes? Gee, I wasn't planning on doing anything. Okay, and so I'm really gonna miss you. I mean, I really did learn a lot from you. I really appreciate, and I think one of the things I admire about you the most is your fairness. I think you look at all sides. You have your convictions, and you make your decisions, based on what's best for the community. And I can tell you, I've witnessed it, and it's really something to strive for, and something that we should all live by. So I got to tell you, I really consider you a friend. So I'm gonna miss you. I love you, man, and I'm proud of you. And I can't wait to come to visit you in Albany and see that proclamation. Now, I did ask when they asked me to sign it, if I didn't sign it, if that meant you would stay. They said no, so I signed it. But anyway, congratulations, bud, and I really. I look forward to continuing, working with you in town, because I know you're not going anywhere. But I love you, man. You did a great job for the town, and you're a true friend.
Thank you.
Just a couple of things. White Oak Farm is donating 25 Christmas trees for the needy. And while we were at the Lakeland Central School District presentation for the whiteboards, I asked Dr. G if she could facilitate getting these trees to people that really need them. She said yes. So I texted Bry at White Oak Farm. He still has Christmas trees for sale, by the way. But I texted him, and so what we're going to do is I'm going to go meet up with him. We're going to deliver the trees to the Yorktown, the Lakeland Central School District, and those trees are going to make their way to people that can't buy one. So hopefully they'll land on the right doorsteps, and people will get to enjoy a little bit of the holiday spirit. So thank you to Bry and White Oak Farm, a true community partner in Yorktown. I'm going to hold off a minute on a couple of points, but I'm really touched by everything that's been going on in town over this holiday season. The menorah lightings, the gatherings. We had something here at Town Hall just the other day, and it was truly touching. I love to hear the story, of Hanukkah, and I want to wish everybody a happy Hanukkah as well. But it's just truly touching how the town comes together, and really, I mean, that's Yorktown, right, Matt?
Right.
That's what we're about. Speaking of which, the Yorktown Athletic Club 9U football team. Well, these little guys decided to get some food together for the food pantry, and so just the other day they were at First Presbyterian, and they delivered 20 bags of non-perishables. I got a really cool snapshot of them. I'll be posting it, but they're very cute. Again, 9-year-old kids just doing great things, and that's that, and they're learning that from the people they see and what they see, and great parenting in our schools, and it's really heartwarming to see all of that. Going back to Lakeland Central School District and Dr. Gagliardi, unbelievable, donating 15 smart boards. Yes, they're the ones that they were getting rid of, but they look brand new to me. Yeah. And it's just a great thing that they have done. You surround yourself with great people and great things happen. Right. And that's one of the great things that's happening in Yorktown. And on top of it all, we're repurposing these smart boards instead of them ending up in some dump somewhere, probably not being recycled. So we're looking forward to that. And I want to thank Dr. Gagliardi and the school board and the Lakeland Central School District for such a great thing. We do have a streetscape project going on that we failed to mention, and that's going to be on Downing Drive. When is that going to start? What do you think?
guys in the back. We're hoping to have it, John, next summer. Hopefully next summer.
Matt, you want to give us a quick description?
It's $1.7 million. This is part of the ARPA money that was supposed to go into infrastructure. And so based off of the surveys and the committee work, Downing Drive has been on the capital improvement list for the planning department for more than 10 years, John, for a streetscape project. And so what it's going to be able to do, if you go out there right now, you can see the curbs are all broken. If you talk to our highway superintendent, Dave Paganelli, who, by the way, Dave, I hope you're feeling better. He won't pave the street until they fix the curbs. So it's going to allow for a more walkable, more user-friendly, fresh pavement on the street. We're going to get some landscaping on there, some street lights, and it's going to look very similar to the Commerce Street section of the Heights Hamlet, and it's going to be much more welcoming. The business community is thrilled about it. All the businesses in Underhill Ave Plaza are great. They're thrilled about it. And then, again, leading up to potentially, depending on what DOT allows us to do, it could potentially connect the North County Trailway to the Mohansick Trailway, which, again, would just provide more access to people to explore our community, see our community, get outdoors. And, but overall, I think it's a big win for the town. And
big win.
It's going to be a huge project that I think it's going to have a great success for our businesses on.
That's such a pretty part of the Heights area, and it's just going to look. I think it's just going to look fantastic. I can't wait to see it. Moving on, I want to thank Parks and Rec, Jimmy Monterano, for the Hanover East Playground,
That's right.
which we opened up. That looks like it's just fantastic, and the work that was done there is top notch. So thank you for that. It's all of these things that come together and add up to a lot. And it's all of the people that contribute to all of these things that make these things add up to a lot. So thank you very much for that, and it's a wonderful place. I saw it. Empire Ninja opened up as a business, and they do. How would you describe it? They do.
It's the Ultimate Ninja Warrior obstacle course. It's phenomenal. A lot of fun. You can do you're zipping on zip lines, you're running up the walls, you're basically being Spider-Man without a net.
Unbelievable. So, two last things. On the 28th, this next Wednesday at Peter Pratt's, we are having a thank you to Matt Slater. It is not a fundraiser. It is what we're charging is what Peter Pratt's is charging us, and you're all welcome to come. And it's going to be all included. Food, beer, wine. It's just going to be a nice celebration. We'll have some music there as well. So I'm hoping to see a lot of your faces, and it would be nice to have a party for Matt. Last thing, I told you I've been looking and I've been touched by all the many wonderful things that are happening in Yorktown. I want to invite somebody to the podium, Isabella Sabisky. Let me tell you about Isabella. Isabella's 10, and when I met her, Mom, you come up too, Nicole. Come on up. Get up here. So first and foremost, the cards that I handed out. Let me explain to you what's going on.
Right over here, Isabella, right there.
Right at the podium. Come on up. Come on. So if I could get a picture of everybody holding up this card, and I'll explain why. The cards are actually very special. So hold on.
I think Isabella needs a card.
Here, Isabella.
Here, Isabella, grab Luciana's card.
All right, here we go, and I'll explain what's going on, and then we'll talk to Isabella. Ready? Everybody hold them up? Perfect. So Isabella decided that she wanted to raise money for Make-A-Wish Foundation. Okay, and that's what this card is. So what she did is she set a goal. How much is your goal?
5,000.
5,000, and if we get 5,000 cards signed, what will happen, Isabella?
We raised $10,000 for the Make-A-Wish Foundation.
So Macy's is donating $2 this week for every card we turn in. And so if I could have everybody, you could write the card out. It doesn't have to be to Santa. You could write the card out to your spouse. You could write the card out to me, but don't expect the gift that you're asking for. But Isabella, tell us a little more about the program, Isabella.
So
Pull that mic down a little bit. You can pull the mic down a little bit. There you go. Perfect.
So, for the Make-A-Wish Foundation is for raising money for kids with critical illnesses, and it helps them have a wish that they want come true. like, let's say somebody wants to go sledding,
Mhm.
and with the cards, they can go sledding. And I've been working with the Make-A-Wish Foundation for 4 years.
Wow.
We started off small, and then we started going up more. For the past 2 years, I've been getting my Girl Scouts involved and my school involved, and that's what I have done this year too, to raise $5,000, and $10,000 with 5,000 cards, and we're still counting.
It's awesome.
So she's 10, and she's been working with Make-A-Wish for 4 years. Did you get that? Isn't that crazy? Well, I got something for you, because I've been working for you. So I got a few cards for you.
Here you go.
If everybody could fill one out, and we can give it to her. So I got a whole bunch of cards for you, Isabella. You're a sweetheart. You're an inspiration. I look forward to working for you when you become supervisor of the town.
That's right.
Thank you.
Did we check the box over in Town Hall? Did you check the box? Here, why don't you stand right there so you can talk into the mic so we can hear you?
We collected the box at the library,
Yeah.
and we spent hours counting not only the ones that she has been working on since January.
Yep.
Collectively, thus far, we have 5,100
Woo!
cards.
All right.
Wow.
So, thank you,
Awesome.
supervisors and committee, and also to the town of Yorktown.
It's unbelievable.
Great job, Isabella.
Great job.
5,100
Guys,
cards.
if you guys could fill the cards out, there's a box in the
Careful, lad.
in the lobby, or you could just hand them to me, and I'll make sure they find their way in the box. Okay. Thank you so much for your participation, Isabella. Thank you.
Thank you, Isabella.
You're a
Good job,
sweetheart.
Isabella.
Good job.
Awesome. Awesome job.
Ah, with the cards. Right?
Lastly, I want to wish everyone all of the many compliments of the season and the holidays. All right. Thank you.
Okay, I guess I'm up.
We're up, Lou.
Follow that one.
Sorry.
Okay, so no. I mean, thank you for covering everything. Yes, many blessings for all of what you celebrate at home, and hopefully there are loved ones that we are praying for, and there are loved ones that are with us, and there's a lot of togetherness. My heart is racing, so I'm going to take a deep breath. Matt, yeah. I have like mixed emotions for this. Like, I'm a little angry, and I'm a little happy, and I'm like terribly sad, but truthfully, I want to thank you for trusting me and guiding me. Now I'm going to cry. I can still remember the day when I thought it was like I was going to show up for like once a month and like help out. And, you know, and that was not what I was going to do. And I didn't really pick up on that until later. I didn't know anything about that. But I knew that I wanted to do something. And I knew that what I was doing was making money for an old company, and yet every time I dropped off my kids and I saw you, you were making a difference. And the inspiration that I got was, oh my God, I can make a difference. I didn't know it was going to be every Tuesday night it was going to make a difference, but I was going to make a difference. And so I just want to let you know, like, I'm grateful that you trusted me, and I'm grateful that you allowed me to be me, which allowed this beautiful community to trust me, because that's exactly who I am every single day. And I'm also beyond blessed of the role modelship you've offered my family and my children, because ultimately everything I do is for them. And I guess what I really want to say is it could feel sad about what's happening right now, but the greatest things are the impacts you leave don't ever, ever go away. And no matter what story people tell, and no matter how they spin the narrative, you are truly a very good person, and no one will ever be able to take that away from you. And as much as that beautiful woman is raising you, you have like such wisdom and light that was yours to shine, and you were able to share it with this entire community. So yes, I am only almost fully a whole year in, almost, not fully. And no, I really don't know if I'm making you completely proud, but I promise to work as hard as possible, because I know how much you love all of Yorktown, and I know how much you love the impact you've made on this community through all of those hardships. And I am also really, really sending you light and courage to just rise, because you deserve all the beautiful things ahead of you, and know that I hope I can speak on behalf of all of us that we're all right behind you.
Thank you.
Okay, so best
Thank you.
wishes.
Thank you
And
very
I'm really sad that you're breaking up with me after only 1 year. But that's okay. I'll have to deal with that. I'll have to find my own therapist, right? Yeah. Okay.
So guys, just going back to the cards, I wanted to give a shout out to Macy's because Macy's is donating the $2 for each card that we get, and so it won't cost you a dime. Please fill the cards out, and a great big shout out to Macy's for doing the right thing for us. Another community partner. Thank you.
All right. There we go. Okay. Thank you, folks, so much.
Okay. Let's do
And once again, Matt, thank you so much for everything you've done for this community. All right, on.
Dave.
Then you should do that.
Sure.
Absolutely.
Good evening, boss. I get to call you that for another 2 weeks. In the
A-team
board.
in the house.
Yeah. This is from Dave, so I apologize. I don't know what it says. So, sorry I can't be there. I can't say enough what a pleasure it has been for me to work with Matt. He has accomplished so much in just 3 years. I will be forever grateful for his constant and consistent guidance through COVID. Of course, I enjoyed our Facebook Lives, keeping our resident in the loop. As well as storm ride-alongs. Matt has always been appreciative to all of our town employees through thick and thin. There was never a time that he wasn't there for me. I could go on, but I'll end it there. Thank you for everything, Dave, a.k.a. Squirrel.
The
also,
squirrel.
can I do one more thing?
Yes.
Okay. So we have something for you. You saw this before you even came into office in January, and we wanted to. You can't take it with you though. You have to keep it in the boardroom. But this is one project that you did not know about going on at Town Hall. We finished the plaque for you for town supervisor.
Aww.
And actually, we took that picture 3 years ago today.
I
And
know.
you're wearing the same
I'm wearing the
tie.
same tie.
So, whoever goes next, Tommy, we're going to have to finish it for you too.
Okay.
Aw, that's awesome.
So what they did was they went back and they added all the former supervisors that weren't there. So they did a really nice thing.
Here, hold that one. You guys get in there. Hand it to him or something.
We're not centered.
I bring you these 15
Oh my gosh.
10 commandments.
That was so funny. I think we got Susan smiling on this one.
You can't take
Matt,
it with you.
it kind of looks like part of the 10 Commandments you have.
No, it is. And this is. It does look like the temple, but
What was that movie? History of the World?
yeah, this is beyond special. Anyone who's sat in the supervisor's office knows what this means. This is literally the entire list of every supervisor since 1780 for the town of Yorktown.
That's amazing.
And the town stopped. I think it was after. Was it after Linda or Donnie? But it was blank on the bottom right corner. There was a gap there, and so my A-team staff knew how much it meant to me, so they finished it. So on here you will also see, after Linda Cooper, Alice Roker, who served as supervisor from October of 07 to December of 07, Donnie Peters, Susan Siegel, Michael Grace from 2012 to 17, Lonnie Gilbert, and myself. And that's just so special. So thank you very much. That's awesome.
It's great.
Good job, ladies.
Okay, now, Matt, do I have to hold this one?
Jenna, and
You want your name on it yet?
Jenna and Kira, really nice job.
That's a
Nice
great,
job,
that's an
ladies.
amazing job.
Pat
Help pay the bill.
Of course she did. That's awesome.
Before you finish up, I just want to say
Yeah.
it's been an honor for me to work with you. I've really enjoyed that. I'm going to miss you, and I wish you the absolute best.
Thank you very much, Di. Appreciate that. Thank you.
Oh.
Be embarrassed myself.
I think you
Take
can.
a drink of water. I'd like to take a drink of
Everyone's
water.
gonna.
I just hope that the residents just see the passion, the love that you see on the dais, you see with our employees, those who are here, those who are not. It's genuine. We may not agree all the time, but we do genuinely care about the community, the people who call Yorktown home. So thank you all so much. It means a lot. Thank you.
Thank you, Matt.
Thank you, Matt. Okay. Moving on to
Presentation still.
some more presentations. Oh, hang on one second. You may.
Come on up, Chief.
We have Chief Noble coming up for a moment.
I knew you recognized me. I heard you. Good evening, everybody.
Good
Chief
evening.
Robert
Evening, Chief.
Noble, and I come out of uniform this time. Very
Casual, I like it.
But I couldn't let this go by without saying, and I've had the privilege of working with just great people. Ed, Tommy, you were here when I came aboard as chief. Michael Grace, Greg Bernard, Vishnu Patel, just Lanny Gilbert, a gentleman. You said it all about Alice Roker. I mean, she's just one of a kind. Yeah. And this board is an awesome town board. But your ascension is a little different now. We got you on the ground floor, and I got to work with you closely for these past few years. And I will share with people, if they don't already know, you're going places, and don't let that machine up in Albany eat you. You go up there and eat, and you eat well, and you don't forget about us down here. And I don't think you ever will, because having been around you, you're not wired that way. And you really, for the people who don't know this, and I know how hard this board works, I really do. But you, stop answering people right away when they tag you on social media. It's an impossible pace to keep up with, and I'll say it publicly. You work tirelessly. It is. But as people saw here tonight, you have two very small children and a lovely family. I don't know how you get through all the hours of the day, but I have a pretty good idea, having been attached at the hip with you these last few years. So keep it rolling. We were fortunate to have you, and all the best up there in Albany. I am convinced you have great things ahead of you. I hope one day you're the governor of this great state, and maybe even president. You've got that potential, man. You are wired that way. So keep it rolling. Don't ever forget where you came from, and just keep doing what you're doing. All the best. It was my pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you, Chief.
Come on, Chief.
Bobby.
Chief. Bobby. Chief.
You don't get away that easy without giving me a friggin' hug, man. Come on.
Thank you, Chief Noble. One thing the Chief said that's very true, and Senator Murphy had said this a long time ago. He told me going into this political arena, and I guess that's what we should call it, right, Matt? Is that, what? Long after we're dead and gone, politics is still going to be here. Your family is what matters.
Yep.
Your family is what matters. And without family, we can't sit here.
Yep.
So,
Amen to that.
thanks, everybody. Okay, on with presentations. John C. Hart Memorial Library. Yvonne.
Incredibly tough act to follow here, I've got to say. I want to, first of all, echo the comments of everyone here and thank Supervisor Slater for his incredible support of the library and his ability to see how important the library is to the entire community. And so it's really the reason that I'm here tonight is to talk about the vision of the library. And the reason that I'm doing it on this night is because I wanted to make sure that you were still here. and make sure that you could be part of seeing the future for the library, because you've been so supportive, along with the entire town board. So, so I'll, sort of get started, I guess, after all of these incredible presentations. And so, for anyone who doesn't know, my name is Yvonne Check, and I am the director of the John C. Hart Library. Also with me today is the president of our Library Board of Trustees, Kathy Ritchie. Thank you, Kathy, for everything you do for the library. And also our treasurer was here. She just had to leave, though, but Sunitha Howard was here as well in support. Last January, I made a presentation to this board outlining some impressive statistics for the library. The slide you have there is fine. This is a summary of some of those statistics. At that point, I talked about some goals, and there were 4 goals that I wanted to focus on and to address the needs of the community and how they use the library space today and how we could better serve the community. And so today I want to give you a little bit of an update on those goals. We can go to the next one. The first 2 goals we talked about were some robust programs. I think we are accomplishing that one. If anyone was attending or heard about our haunted house program, where we had over 1,500 people in over 6 hours. And then the second goal was more digital and in-person outreach, and we are also working on that. Again, thank you to Supervisor Slater for connecting the library with some really important groups in town, like the Senior Advisory Group and the Youth Council. And as you know, we've had some excellent results from these partnerships, especially with Lakeland School District, just recently donating the smart boards. So outreach is important, and continuing to connect with town partners it continues to be a very important thing for us. So if we go to the next slide. So that's our first and second goal that we outlined last year already happening. The third goal we outlined last year was an update for our collection. The reason why that's important is, as a reminder, we can't have outdated information and irrelevant information in the library, especially in the children's department. So we've been working to update that collection. Some of it was over 25 years old. And we're working on this. This will be an operating budget item request in 2024. So look for that. And our next slide. So our fourth goal, that's what we are working on now, and that is what we're here to talk about today. And it's really a big picture vision. And that is what this board has been so wonderful at recognizing, is the big picture vision for the library and the community. And we want to talk about how we can update the surface area spaces within the library and the most cost-effective way to achieve what the community is already asking for. You can go to the next slide. So in order to do that, we want to support the need to do it by looking at some actual facts. And this shows you a graph coming out of the pandemic, and this is circulation statistics. This is only people coming into the library to check out material. So slight rise from 2020 to 2021, and then you see that line just going straight up from 2021 to 2022, and it's literally moving off the charts, and there's no stopping it. So what we're finding is a really strong recovery from the pandemic. People are using their library. They're using the services and the spaces in the library constantly, and shows no sign of slowing down. And as of today, actually, I checked our statistics, and we are, year to date, out of all 38 libraries in Westchester County, we are third behind White Plains and Scarsdale, who just did a major $8 million renovation. We're third in line out of all of the libraries in Westchester County. And we're ahead of Yonkers, which is a city of over 200,000 people. And that is just for how many people actually walk in the door and use the library. That doesn't even include our digital services, which you can add on top of that. So for our purposes today, we're talking about the use of the library. So to that end, what are the people in this community asking for from their library? And I want to start with some of the capital projects that we have in mind for the future. And we're not going to go in a deep dive here. This is just an overview. So if you could go to the next slide. Yeah, that's fine. The first capital project is already underway thanks to a federal grant from a federal ARPA grant. And that will be the installation of private study rooms, which are in huge demand for the entire town. And the reason we know that is because ever since I got here, which is about 16 or 17 months ago, I have personally been receiving phone calls from the public asking for private study space. They need a place to do an interview. They need a place to study for an exam. And this is happening over and over again. So this past August, I decided to start a tally mark for every time I got a phone call. And I kept it up for a little over 2 months, and I captured all of August, all of September, and a little part of October. And what I found was that we were getting, on average, and you can go to the next slide, we are getting on average 31 times per month. I was personally receiving a phone call for people asking for private study space. That includes proctoring exams. We are licensed by the state of New York as librarians to proctor exams. And so people come in and maybe they need to take a real estate exam, or they're doing a remote college course and they need to take an exam. So when you add all that together, you see that these are just the people who took the time to call. So we know that the actual need will be much greater. And so if you go to the next slide. So we have data, we have trends, we understand the use of the building is going in the right direction. So how do we take action? How do we better serve our community? Using this data and the trends and knowing the ways that library serves their communities in our neighboring communities, we are undertaking a redesign of our entire library facility. We want to update our service spaces. These are just images for thought. These are not actual images of what it's going to look like, but it gives you some concept of how spaces in public libraries are being updated. A community like Yorktown that has seen a huge change in the way people work and go to school. A lot of remote access is needed, and some of these images reflect that. So you see a Bloomberg terminal in one of the pictures. That's actually in a library in Westport, Connecticut. You see huge community rooms. You see different types of shelving. You see a teen space, dedicated teen space, seating that incorporates elements of nature. You can go to the next slide. We want to take action, and these are the steps that we're going to take. The first one is already underway, and we hope to go out to bid for the installation of 5 individual private study rooms in the next couple of weeks. Was trying to get it done before you left, but a lot of moving parts. So I want to mention that the last major renovation to the adult side of the library building was in 1990. That's over 30 years ago, and the way we use libraries has changed dramatically. Just think about it. The entire information age has happened since then. The internet was developed since then, essentially. So the library that we're using today was designed before all of that happened. So it really needs to be updated. And so let's talk about how we're going to do that. We have hired a library space planner and designer to help us take our vision and turn it into some actual drawings. And we're going to start by showing you some of our existing spaces, and we'll go to the next slide. This is our existing community room, and it also serves a dual purpose as local art gallery. This was the original home of John C. Hart and his family. Well over 100 years ago. They actually lived in what is now this room. It used to be 2 floors, and the second floor was removed and made one big space. This was also the original space for the library 100 years ago. And right now, it has capacity for seating of about 30 to 40 chairs. Standing, we get maybe 70 or 80 people. The fact is, we serve 47,000 people. That's 37,000 for the town of Yorktown, and then we're contracted to serve 10,000 people in the town, from the town of Cortland. And to have a community gathering space that can seat 30 to 40 people, it's just inadequate.
No.
So, and just for benchmarking, I was a few years ago library director in Croton-on-Hudson, a town with a population size of 8,500 people. They have a community room with a capacity of almost 200, and they max it out routinely. In Brookfield, Connecticut, my last directorship, a community of 17,000 people, half the size of Yorktown, community room capacity of 172 people, maxing it out routinely with exciting and engaging author visits and other programs. And so currently in this space, we actually turn people away for story times because we can't fit enough people in there. We doubled up on our story times so we can try and get 2 sessions in, and we still have to turn people away. So we know we need a bigger space. We could have a lot of exciting author visits. Authors don't really want to come if they can only get an audience of 30 people. So there's a lot of things we can do. The need for a larger gathering space is true and is real. And so our vision is to, in the immediate future, I've already put in a grant, and Assemblyman Byrne was here talking about the grants from the state and the Dormitory Authority. We actually have applied for 2 of those so far, and he's right, they are very slow. and it often takes 18 months just to get an approval on one, and that's how that works.
Yep.
But we have applied for 2 grants, and the one that we applied for this year allows us to do what I'll call a quick phase 1 fix to this space, and we will be removing that freestanding storage unit so that we can make use of the entire space, which will gain us maybe another 20 seats, but will help us really use that space better, and we'll relocate the closet. So that is one grant. You can go to the next slide. The next thing we have to address is the sort of the flooring, the furnishings, and that includes our 30-year-old carpet. I took these pictures yesterday. And
I don't mean to laugh.
yeah. Well, actually, we have
the duct tape is a good
yeah. So these
addition.
pictures, I took these yesterday, and we actually, you can laugh because we actually have an inside joke at the library that some of our staff members are younger than the carpet. But this is a 30-year-old carpet, and really just for health and safety reasons, if nothing else, we need to really think about replacing this. You can go to the next slide. These are just some images of contemporary carpet designs for public libraries, and they're done in carpet tiles now instead of wall to wall, so that you can, if it gets stained, you can replace the actual tile. You can go to the next slide. And this is our shelving. I took these photos yesterday. You can see that we don't use the top shelf anymore because people can't reach it. We sometimes don't use the bottom shelves because it's hard to get down to the bottom shelf as well. And of course, when the library was built, this was the way people did things. The shelving just went straight up to the ceiling. In our children's room, I actually took this photo yesterday. The standard currently is to not have shelving over 42 inches. So this child can't actually reach the books on that top shelf either.
True. My kids have a hard time reaching the top shelf too.
Yeah,
They have a
can't.
little stool.
They have a little stool.
Yeah.
And so it's really not the way things are designed today. And if you go to the next slide, you'll see that these are some shelving images that are a little more updated. You can see they're much lower, they're much more accessible. And the exciting thing that they're doing now is they're putting everything on wheels so that it makes future reconfiguring more easier to do and more cost efficient. We love to future-proof things as much as possible. The next slide is our current circulation desk, which I'd like to say is about the size of Idaho. It's it goes from the adult side of the room all the way over to the children's side. It stretches from one entrance all the way over to the other entrance. At the time that it was built, I'm sure it was state of the art, but given that we need to incorporate so many new service area spaces, this now feels very much disproportionate to the space. So streamlining this will allow us some more floor space for seating. Next slide will show you just one example of a contemporary circulation desk. Still very welcoming, but doesn't take up the big footprint. So this is one concept. Next slide. Our fourth action item has been dedicated teen space.
We heard about this directly from them.
Yeah.
They were very excited.
And it's really true and that's one of the beauties of connecting people within communities and hearing firsthand what their needs are and what their challenges are. We attended a youth council meeting at the library. Thanks to Supervisor Slater again for putting that together. And what we heard from them directly was, first of all, they can't get to the library.
Right.
So the students in Yorktown Heights can't actually get over to the library because they don't drive or they don't have a ride to get there.
Yorktown Central side.
Right.
Right.
And so then when they do get there, if they do manage to get there, there's no space they can call their own.
Right.
And so we heard this directly from the teens. This is teens telling us that they want to get involved in their community library. And we need to create a space for them. And we heard this from them directly. And there was a huge group of them that night.
Oh, yeah.
It wasn't 2 or 3 kids. It was a room full of teens. So this is something we really need to address. We can't continue to underserve our teens. They're asking to get involved. So we need to really respond to that.
Actually, Yvonne, not to cut you off, but just remind me to follow up with the school district. We talked about that activity bus, and we need to follow up on that.
Okay.
'Cause that might be an answer.
Yeah, absolutely. And we've done that in other areas where school was not close to a public library where the bus makes a run over to the public library after school, and it does work. It's effective.
Right.
So we want to make sure we create a space that the teens feel welcome. Next slide. So action steps, private study space, check. Expanded community room capacity, phase 1 we can implement in 2023. The third thing, updated furnishings and floors. We're working on that with this grant. And then, as we just said, we need to create dedicated teen space. So numbers 4 and 5 are what we still have to solve. So we can go to the next slide. How are we going to accomplish this? So this is a view of the main section of our library, our existing space. Our residents truly use every aspect of this facility, but as you can see, to sit in the middle and try and have quiet reading space, not really possible. The reference desk is right nearby, the circulation desk is there, there's a lot of activity that happens there, and we get a recurring complaint from our patrons, which is the only recurring complaint we get, but it's about the noise level in the library. And you can see it's one big rectangle. We have separated out the children's room, which was important, but we have not separated out an adult quiet reading space. And so if you want to just go to the library and sit quietly and read, which is what a lot of people want to use the space for, you really don't have a place to do that. So if you go to the next slide, this is a draft for discussion purposes only. This is not a final version, but we have been working with our library designer architect firm on trying to check off as many of these needed service areas as possible within our existing footprint. And you can see the area that's outlined to the top right. That is where we plan to install the 5 individual study rooms. That's against the back wall of the library. And you can see the circle that's down at sort of the bottom of the page. That is the re-envisioned or reimagined community room without that freestanding storage unit. So we get some more seating space there. The circle in the middle is our thinking on redesigning the circulation desk. Right now, I don't know how many of you have been to the library, but when you walk in, you actually walk in behind the library clerks. You walk in with their backs.
You're walking into the back, yep.
Walking in with their backs facing you. They can't see you walking in. And for a number of reasons, safety and just the feeling of being welcome, you really want to walk in and face people. And so we really want to make it a little more streamlined. And so we're talking about sort of flipping it around. That's that idea. Then off to the left, you see another red circle, and that is within the grant that we just submitted. It gives us the funding to relocate our Storytime room and make it bigger to try and accommodate more of the people that try and attend our story times. So next slide. And now we've talked about all the things we can do within the existing footprint. There will come a time when we max out and have optimized our existing floor plan, and then we still have to solve for a large community room. We still have to solve for a quiet adult reading space. So our current thinking and our vision for the future is where that red square is, to do an addition a few years from now to the library to sort of square off that space that's now indented and to build a 2 or possibly 3-story addition to the library. Next slide, please. And that will allow us to have a community room. These are just some images to show you current modern community rooms. We could have large enough events that can house maybe 200 people, 225 people. Next slide. It could also give us a dedicated teen space. Next slide, please. And we could even create an active space where people of all ages could come together and learn to make things at the library, or have technology help sessions. Now the critical part, how do we pay for all of this? This would require support from the town and this addition and a great deal of fundraising. So everything up until now, all of the reimagining of the existing footprint, we believe we can do with a lot of grants, and some of them are matching grants, and we will be able to access our library fund balance to be the match to those grants. But once we have optimized the existing footprint and we need to think about an addition, that will take a great deal of fundraising. Right now, our library board is looking into how to begin doing this, and they're already putting the wheels in motion to get that started. And so remember in the beginning I said there was a 2-phase plan for the community room that we have now. The first one we can accomplish quickly. If you can go to the next slide, removing that freestanding closet. But to get a larger community room would take the addition, and then what would we do with this space? This space, I think, would make a beautiful adult quiet reading room. And that would be phase 2 of this space. So removing the closet would be helpful even for that in the future.
Right.
So if you go to the next slide.
Say that like it's more of like a lounge? Okay.
So these are some images of what it could possibly look like. These are, again, just some images of actual libraries. The next slide is actually a library that I've been in Scoville, Connecticut. And that's just dedicated adult quiet reading space.
Beautiful.
It is.
Again, we need to think about separating out the adult space because the biggest complaint we get is noise. They want quiet space to go. We can go to the next slide. So to summarize, reimagining the floor plan and prioritizing the projects into various buckets to optimize grant funding. That's what we've been working on this year. And then actually renovating the existing space to realize that redesign. That's what's coming in 2023. And then a few years after that, hopefully create an addition to the building. And that should take us into the 21st century and beyond.
Where we want to be.
So, last slide, in keeping with the town motto of progress with preservation, let's update our iconic public library going into the future. And thank you for giving me the time tonight and attention, and especially on this very special night for Supervisor Slater. And thank you for all of your support. And any questions?
Thank you, Yvonne. What can I say? You see the programs that go on at the library day after day after day. The concerts, the crafts. We just had a tree lighting there. The library put out the crafts for the kids. There wasn't a free space at the table. It's amazing the amount of stuff that has been done there within the past 17 months, and in the amount of space that you have to do it in. So, we will work with you, and let's see what we can get done, and maybe with a little help up in Albany, we can get some grants rolling and go fresh.
Oh, gosh, he's shining shoes.
My office is still upstairs for listening to
You might need to take it.
I got to say, Yvonne, you're just simply amazing. Your energy. I always say, you surround yourself with great people, and great things happen.
Yep.
I mean, I said the same thing about you the other day. So you're just very impressive, and I appreciate all your hard work.
Well, and I appreciate all the support from the town board and from our library board, and Matt's staff has been amazing as always. So thank you again, and
Great job. Look forward to the future.
Absolutely.
good luck to you.
And
Thank you.
the dedication of your library board under the guidance of Kathy.
Oh,
I'll tell
yeah.
you, they're great.
Yes, they are.
Kathy! Woo!
They are terrific. Great job as always, Yvonne.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Absolutely awesome.
Okay.
Garden of
The
Hope.
Garden of Hope. Do you have somebody from the
Janet? Where's Paul? Is Paul still here? Come on up.
Come on up, Paul.
Very exciting, yeah. I wrote out my Santa Claus card.
All right.
I want some seeds and things.
We'll take it.
We don't have a chimney.
So let's do this. I'll give a brief background, and then I'll let you take over. How's
Okay.
that? Okay.
Up here. You can come up here.
Yeah, guys, come on up.
Do you want to take some pictures?
So-
You can take them up here.
It's kind of awkward when a clergy person walks in a room with a lot of people because we're used to facing the congregation.
Yeah.
So forgive me for having my back to you. Just very, very briefly, for those that don't know about the Garden of Hope, the garden was started 8 or 9 years ago. It's the Yorktown Interfaith Organic Community Garden. It's all of the houses of faith in Yorktown. We come together to sponsor this garden. Ostensibly, each house of faith comes together. We grow this organic produce, and it's all given, 100% of it, to pantries, our local pantries and families in need.
Yep.
Since I took over as the director 4 or 5 years ago, we've gone through at least 4 existential periods where it became very clear that the future of the garden was not clear and that we would probably have to close it down. And I just want to talk about how we got through those periods and where we are now. We got through those periods basically because the Garden of Hope is a microcosm of Yorktown. And in many ways, the things that Matt was talking about, the management and the vision for the town, is how we made it through. When it looked like we didn't have the resources, what we did was very, very simple, and I encourage everyone to do it. You reach out to your neighbors. And that's what we did. We created new partnerships. We created new friendships. When we had to move, we partnered with the town, and Matt was a tremendous partner with that, along with Dave, Department of Highways, and Jim, and all the incredible people at Parks and Rec. And we got through each of those periods. COVID hit, another really, really tough thing for all of us. And again, as neighbors and as a community, we worked through it. I'm always shocked when I go to the garden because when I look around, I know the background of some of those people there, and there's no reason, and it makes no sense that they're working side by side in a space because those people come from dramatically different parts of the Yorktown community. Politically different, socially different, economically different, nothing in common. These people would not sit down normally and have a cup of coffee together, but they're there working side by side in the Garden of Hope.
It's great.
And the reason for that is, one, for me, a couple things. Primarily one word. It's love. These people love gardening. They love their community. They love living a life of values and ethics and faith. And they know they're feeding families in need. They know that when a hungry family sits down, it's good that they're getting all this produce from folks. But when a hungry family sits down and sees fresh organic produce on their plate, they know someone busted their butt with love to provide that for them. So they know that they're loved, and it gives them hope. There's a lot of people here who are volunteers that will talk about how it's hope for them. It's helped them get through tough times, right? So love is that common denominator. The other major factor, Sergio just said, is you get great people and great things happen.
That's right.
And that's why we're here tonight, because there's a couple folks here like Bob Giordano. Bob is one of the original Garden of Hope. I mean, I talk about busting your butt.
Yeah.
Actually, the sign for the Garden of Hope was built by Bob, and it was very important for us to take it over there and have that continue to be his presence at the garden, as well as your lawnmower, Bob, in case you're looking for it.
And the harvest table.
And the harvest table, right. But of all the people that have been involved, by far the longest is the person that is at the heart of the garden. And that's who we're here to honor tonight, and that's Janet. I call her our garden guru. We would not be here if it weren't for her. She brings together people. She inspires them. She instructs them. This room is full of people that are, she could start her own church, actually, probably, competition, who are so devoted because of the love that she has generated in Yorktown. And we're so grateful. I don't know, we wouldn't be in existence without Janet. So I just want to come up and say, in this very small plot of land, which we used for the first time last year, and we got just over a ton of produce. This year, in the exact same plot of land, Janet and all the volunteers produced and distributed 2.7 tons of fresh produce that we distributed to families in Yorktown.
Almost 3 tons.
And our goals for next year are just as ambitious, with output, with reaching out to the community and education, and we looked in the near future to double that.
That's awesome.
And a lot of that comes from this inexplicable force of energy next
She's
year.
unbelievable.
She's unbelievable.
She's unbelievable.
So I'm going to turn it over to
I love
Janet.
your videos, by the way.
It's all yours, Janet.
Yeah, thank you so
This
much.
is for
And,
you.
Yeah.
and let me tell you something. It was an incredible endeavor, and 2020 was the big inspiration. I know it sounds crazy, but everybody wanted to get out of the house. So it was really the first year of 2020 with our masks on and our gloves, but it was like work gloves. I ended up training about 48 volunteers in 2020, and they were there every day.
Yeah.
They didn't want to come home, and some of them, one of them was like a family of 20 that I didn't know a word of their language, and they didn't know a word of mine.
It's amazing.
And I did it all by demonstration, show them how to do it. They did it. Then I checked it. We taught each other. We had the patience. People kept coming back. They're here again. Every time I turned around, there was more and more volunteers. And people wanted to make a difference. Get out of the house, be in sunshine, get some vitamin D3,
right.
physically active. Also just have that purpose of working as a community, helping each other.
Yep.
And everyone was well aware. It felt like this huge tsunami of people were going to be hurting. I think you mentioned something to me about how there's that lag of 2 years.
It's what our
when
food security
we really
task force.
get hit. Well, I actually saw that,
Yeah.
where we had 28 families of 6. Our food went to the Yorktown Presbyterian for that family group. And then the next year, I went over to Liam and said, hey, can you handle about triple that kind of food? Do you have that many families? He said, I was going to call you and say, We have 58 families of 6.
It grew. Yeah.
So we need you to increase.
Right.
So it all kind of worked together, and you guys kept providing the right materials that we needed. We had to get them across that frozen tundra.
Yeah.
100 truckloads of material, but all that material, I don't know if you've been there lately, but that whole material is getting to where I would like to see it, because I'm also going to develop permaculture sites that develop sustainable spaces for species.
Yeah.
Even one tree that we put in there can support over 4,000 species. So I'm about the plants, the animals, our environment. We don't till because we don't want the carbon to be released into the atmosphere. So we're trying to protect. We're trying to train children. They have to change their practices and their parents. I thought it was just children. And I started finding out, no, the parents don't know this either. So they're all learning, the type of practices called regenerative gardening. It's also no-dig gardening, forest floor. I'm building compost situations so that I'm training teenagers. They're learning the compost principles. And that is really essential so we don't have to throw everything in the garbage. We can actually use our own in place and create soils and support our soil, all of the microbiome, and our food tastes good. I had so many compliments from food bank people. I went to talk to all the food bank people. What can we do different? How can we improve it? And they said it was the best food. They couldn't even believe it. People couldn't believe it was coming from a garden, I also became a judge for the Grange this year, and I decided to disqualify myself and not do it again because I'm going to submit the food.
Oh, good.
And we're going to
Awesome.
start getting more competition.
Yeah.
And I also want to train anyone who from this entire area that would like to learn. We have work days on Saturdays, 9 to 1 every Saturday. And then the harvest days are Thursdays in the evening. We harvest for the food banks for the next day.
Can you let people know where the Garden of Hope is located in case they don't know?
It's at the Willow Park on the corner of Curry and Tulip.
Yep.
It's in the back. People can't see it, but it is back there. If you look, you'll see it. And I would like you to contact me, and it's gardentimewithjanet@gmail.com. You can email me. And also we have the Yorktown Garden of Hope on Facebook page. We're going to build a website too. But come on our Facebook page to see all the activities. We have Girl Scouts, Boy Scouts, every kind of religion, every kind of person. We have the Trump people with the people who aren't the Trump people. It doesn't matter. Come. Everybody works together. Everybody has the same common goal.
Awesome.
That's what I love about it, because it really is the Garden of Hope. It's the Yorktown Garden of Hope. I do believe I've had many mayors from other towns ask me to do the same thing. I have developed, 4 other gardens besides this one. But this one mayor was telling me, well, how is it that if I see one more garden you're doing, Janet, and you're not doing it here, why is it you can do it in Yorktown but you can't do it here? And I said, because these people cooperate. Everybody's cooperating. I don't have to pull, I don't have to cause any trouble,
Yeah.
Everyone wants to help. Everyone finds a way of doing it.
That's right.
And I am so privileged to being involved in this, and a long list of some magical volunteers that didn't even know that they were gardeners. And now, my thing is I train the trainers. So I want to train everybody. I want to teach them permaculture and what we're doing, and I would like to this year. This is stepping it up a notch. Not just feed a man a fish, teach him to fish, right?
Right.
I would like to put a little invitation in all the bags at the food bank with our donations, inviting people, if they're interested, to contact me.
Awesome.
It's a great idea.
And I don't know their name, but
Yeah.
it's anonymous.
Yeah.
It's an invitation, Spanish on one side of the invitation, English on the other,
Right.
and maybe give them plots of land if they would like to come and
Oh, it's
learn.
beautiful.
Yeah, that's
We'll
amazing.
provide the tools and everything. They don't need anything.
Yeah.
They can help those who help.
And they may want to. Well, see, the thing is, they may come and they can plant for their family. Okay, because it is limited when you're coming every other week to a food bank and you have teenagers. Okay, that six
you need-
people in a family, they actually need more food than that.
Yeah.
So I'm saying, why don't we give them like a quarter of a,
Yeah, it's
a
beautiful.
plot,
Right.
a half a plot, whatever they'd like, and then if they want to donate their excess on our harvest night, see, that's what happens. People, when you help people like that, they end up helping others. They
Yeah.
want to give back. There's dignity in it, and I feel like this community understands that thing about keeping the dignity.
I think it's a great idea. When I was a kid, there was this building that got abandoned and got torn down, and one of the guys in the neighborhood was a friend of mine. His uncle, he turned it into a garden, and he gave all us kids a piece of a little plot, and we were called the Belmont because it was Belmont Avenue in the Bronx. The Belmont Little Farmers. And
our
when
garden has turned into a farm. I mean,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
huge.
When I
But
delivered
understand
when I delivered tomatoes to my father, I said, "Pop, look, I grew these." My father, I swear, I thought he was going to cry, because he's a very big gardener, and
And this is the other thing about the garden.
He was so proud of me.
Getting people like him to come and teach the younger people. We do need the old school people. I love that mix when people come and, it's fascinating. And so I've personally been super satisfied. But I must mention one woman that we didn't talk about, but Heidi Borman.
Yeah, Heidi.
Heidi.
Garden of Hope.
Yeah, Heidi.
And, this woman, every single day from like 6 in the morning till 9:30, she watered the Garden of Hope during that 7-week stretch of 98
Oh, yeah.
degree, and we had a total drought.
Yeah.
And remember, it's a wetland.
Yeah.
It wasn't.
So there was dust bowl, dust, and she saved it. Otherwise, there wouldn't have been that harvest that we had.
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
let's imagine what would it be like next year if we. It should be almost double this, because not only do we widen every single bed, but I'm going to be doing this thing where we're going to start from March 17th all the way into the winter. We're going to have root vegetables and Brussels sprouts, Sarah. We're going to have crops that are going to be into the winter that actually taste better when they're in the snow. So we're going to have really extend this. That's the plan this year. So thank you so much for being part of this opportunity. It's been really a pleasure, and we all
I know that
very happy to be part of it.
before you go anywhere, Janet, before you go, no, you're not done. Come back. You got to come back. Back to the page. Well, before, if I can just say a few words.
Absolutely.
And Paul, can you come up, actually? I know you're filming. Sorry, I busted you, but one of the things I live right around the corner from the Garden of Hope, and I do want to recognize the Parks and Rec Commission for supporting this, and the Parks Department for all they've done, and Dave Paganelli and our highway superintendent and highway department. But when Paul came to me, and actually I went to visit the Garden of Hope with Bob when it was on White Hill Road, and it was one of those projects and ideas that we had that you kind of, it's like a boat in the water, right? A little toy boat. You kind of push out there and you see where it goes. Knowing that it had tremendous potential, and to see what it's become, and the genuine impact it's had on people's lives, not just the people, and we've talked about this 2 weeks ago when we were together, right? Not just the people who are receiving, but the people who are giving.
Right.
And that's one of the great things about this town. And if you spend a day there, I remember the first time that we were there. And you had, 40 people from all walks of life. Everyone's there grabbing a pitchfork and a shovel. And we had all the mulch there. I mean, you couldn't help but smile.
That was great.
It was amazing.
Joe was there. He was filming.
Yeah,
that.
Serge was there. That's
filming.
right. Yeah, well, it's either Paul or Sergio, one of the two.
Next time, give him a shovel.
There was his hands weren't fitting a shovel that day.
No.
Sergio.
But I just want to thank you both. Because
No good deed, man.
Yeah,
No good deed.
never. But I really just wanted to thank you both, because like I said, I live right there, and as I said to you when we met at Grace Lutheran, I drive by and I smile, because the impact it's having on both ends, and it's amazing. And if anybody has time to give to this project, it's so rewarding. It is, and I know you've got a ton of volunteers here. I see a lot of nodding heads. Even if you spend just one Saturday a month, you're doing something amazing for someone less fortunate than yourself. and it just goes so far. And like we said when we were at Grace, it's just good for the soul, and that's something that I think a lot of people in this community embrace and they want to get behind. But it doesn't happen without your leadership, and it doesn't happen without your leadership. And so I'm going to turn it over to Councilman Diana with a little presentation.
Thank you, Supervisor. You know what? I have a couple certificates here for you folks, but I'd like to get your group around you so we can get a full shot of that.
Yeah.
So if everybody
Come on, guys.
who's here from the Garden of Hope, come on up.
Jenna, can you take that camera, or Kira?
That's it.
She's holding this camera right here. Why don't you take that so she can get in?
I got to tell you, I took a peek from that day, from when I was there to what it looks like now. It's unbelievable. It's just unbelievable.
I remember going there when we were first laying, right.
It was
Laying
nothing.
it out and getting ready to move. And I think we did that rollout at the one by the Korean church right before. And it was like, to see what it was, where it was going to now what it is. Just amazing.
It's unbelievable.
Here, come up. We'll get everyone around the podium, and then yeah. Come on, you guys want to get it?
Sure.
Yeah. Come on up. Jenna will position us.
Partner in crime over here.
Heidi, come on up. This was all Heidi's idea for the record.
All Heidi's idea.
Always Heidi's idea. Right?
Ever.
Everybody ready? All right, where's Janet? You gotta come right here for me. Paul, you're right there. You're right there, and Councilman Diana, the floor is yours.
Okay. These are certificates of appreciation to Paul Silverman and to Janet Mora for their initiative at the Garden of Hope for providing extraordinary dedication to the garden. The town of Yorktown offers their congratulations. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
These hands have been on a show.
Okay, you all have
Because I can't see you guys.
Show it off.
Yeah.
We'll say garden.
Garden.
I like the word hope. Hope.
I hope they take pictures.
Awesome. One more.
Sorry.
Good. Thank you all. Great job.
And Matt, just as a passing note, as a representative of the Yorktown Interfaith Council, we want to remind you that you have a rich source of spiritual support and guidance here. We all wish you the very best of luck and send you blessings for your success. And don't forget to tap this resource.
Thank you very much, Paul. Means a lot. Janet, congratulations.
Want me to help you with your garden or
When was it?
your compost?
Thank you so much. Great job. Thank you.
All right. Moving forward.
I'm aware.
Poet laureate John
John McMullen.
McMullen.
Okay. As an aside, I knew from the beginning that both Matt and Kevin were going to do well because they share with me a master's from Manhattan College. From
Marist,
College,
yeah.
MPA. Excuse me. Of course, Kevin Adams also has one, but he's not doing very well. Eric Adams. Now, Matt spoke tonight about the spirit of Yorktown, and I have one poem and then something else to say about the spirit. This happened 2 weeks ago tonight. Warm feelings on a cold, rainy night. I was driving home on a dark and very rainy night from a Yorktown Town Board meeting, and I overshot the Taconic State Parkway. But I turned right anyway and wound up in a ditch with me in the car at about the 30-degree angle from the road. Wonderful. While I was cursing myself and wondering whether to call 911 or tow service, people began to stop and get out of their cars in the heavy downpour to see if I was hurt and to offer help. Embarrassed at them standing in the rain because of the plight I put myself in, I could just assure them that I was okay and thank them for their concern. I called a local towing service. While I was waiting, the local police officer stopped his patrol car and got out in the rain and came over to see if I were hurt or had been drinking. Satisfied that neither was the case, he took my information, called the towing service, ensuring that help was coming, and with him standing out in the rain, we began a conversation. It turned out that he had been with New York City Police before transferring to Yorktown. Then I had not only moved from NYPC to Yorktown, but also have been NYPD father and grandfather, and also I was familiar with the area that he served in the city. After a while, the tow truck arrived, our conversation ended, and the officer routed traffic around the scene while the tow operator examined the situation, all still in heavy rain. Finally, after the multi-towing operation, the car was righted, separated to Taconic, and I was ready to go. I felt that the tow operator had gone beyond normal duty, walking around in the rain and making hookups by flashlight. When I offered him a tip, he said, "No, not necessary." "Are you sure?" "Yes, but thank you anyhow." As I drove home, I thought that while an hour and a half were a long time to be stuck in a car at a 30-degree angle, the experience of meeting all those helpful, rain-soaked people may have been worth it.
Yeah. Yes, it was.
Oh, we're happy you're all right.
Yeah.
Most importantly, we're happy you're good.
Yep. Another thing that I have to say is I read a poem in October at the town board praising Yorktown the way it operates at the town board in other ways, called Democracy, and it's been published in 2 or 3 anthologies. I think we owe most of the way to Matt, from the way that I've been here for a long time, and while we wish him well in his new position, and we know that Tom will jump right in, I'm going to miss him.
Thank you, John.
I'm going to give copies of that poem out to all the rest of the town board, because it's up to them to make sure we continue like this.
So, John, when the officer asked you if you had been drinking, did you tell him, "I just came from the town board meeting. I haven't been drinking, but I could use one"?
And the last person that I spoke to at the meeting that night was Dick Noble.
Do you know the officer's name that helped you?
Oh, yeah. I gave his name to Donati.
You know, that does just go to show the spirit of Yorktown and the spirit of the people in Yorktown that do stop, that do try to help.
It was pouring rain. They were all getting out. They were all parking their cars up on the side.
Thank you.
They were running on the, they were coming over. They were rapping on the window. Some had flashlights.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks. Some had
I'm good.
I have my signed.
Thank you, John.
Thank you,
You're
John.
going to keep it this way, right?
Officer Donati's uncle lives right down the street from me. I just saw
Thank you, John. Personnel.
Okay, moving on to personnel. We're going to accept the retirement.
No.
No, we're not.
I'm a no.
All right, well, let me finish.
I'm a hard no on this one.
Accept retirement received from Police Officer Angel Garcia from the Yorktown Police Department. Resolved that the Yorktown Town Board does not accept the retirement received from Police Officer Angel Garcia from the Yorktown Police Department, but does thank him for his many years of service and his continued service with the Yorktown Police Department, since we are not going to accept his retirement. But yes, Angel, that's bittersweet. Angel's a great guy. We have a great relation, and good luck in the future. I'm going to miss you.
We are going to miss
Served our
him.
country and our community.
Served our country and our community.
Yeah, absolutely.
What about the voice?
Oh, and a great voice.
Great family, great guy.
You know, you talk about
Big
the heart,
loss.
talk about the heart and soul of an organization and a department. Man, Angel is all that and more. I mean, he's a great leader in this community. He does a great job, and his walkouts can be very difficult for a lot of people.
It is. It really is. This one is bittersweet for me because Angel and I have become close, and there's not a time when I don't go out in public that somebody says, you know, I had a flat tire, or I ran off the road, or something like that, and Angel happened to be the officer that was there.
Yep.
Nothing but accolades.
He's responded to my house multiple times. I mean, my mom's on a first name basis with him, right, Mom? So, you know, but he's always just so compassionate, empathetic, puts his arm around everybody, you know, and even especially when you're in a situation like that where you've got the ambulance at your house, you're panicking, you're just trying to figure out which way's up, and here comes this, you know, big muscular guy who gives you this massive hug, tells you everything's going to be all right, says a prayer with you. And it just calms you down. And
he's a great guy.
Yeah.
Great guy,
Miss him
great
tremendously.
people, great family. Big loss.
Yeah.
Tremendous loss.
Yeah.
But
all the best to him.
And a great
family.
voice.
All the best to him. and his
Absolutely.
church.
All the best, Angel, and thank you for your service for us. And as one leaves, we're going to appoint Gino G. Argerio to the position of police officer in the Yorktown Police Department. Be it resolved that Gino G. Argerio of Yorktown Heights, New York, is hereby appointed permanent police officer in the Town of Yorktown Police Department from eligibility list 60-194, effective December 30, 2022, to be paid the contractual salary of $47,768 annually. Be it resolved that this appointment is subject to a probationary period of not less than 12 nor more than 78 weeks, commencing on the first date of appointment on December 30, 2022. Good luck to you, Gino.
Motion.
Second.
Motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
Excellent. Welcome, Gino.
Okay. Convene a public hearing to consider the wetland permit application submitted by Homeland Towers LLC for the proposed construction of a telecommunications facility. Greetings, guys.
You made it.
I think I want to move here after seeing all this great.
Come on in. No
on.
worries.
Thank you. That's a compliment. It's a beautiful compliment.
So we have the applicant. You want to just briefly, I know we've had several meetings with you here. You've presented to the town board multiple times. This is also part of the regional master plan that we also engaged in with multiple communities in northern Westchester. But if you wouldn't mind just a high-level review of the proposal for Hill Boulevard for this particular facility.
Sure. Good evening. My name is Doug Warden. I'm an attorney with the law firm of Snyder & Snyder here tonight on behalf of Homeland Towers. Homeland Towers is proposing a telecommunications monopole at Route 6 and Hill Boulevard. This is town-owned property. The town code compels that we try to go on town-owned property, and that's what we're doing. At least money goes to the town. This has been a very well scrutinized application. It's been pending for over a year.
Could you bring that mic a little closer to you?
Yeah, it's been pending for over a year. It's been before virtually every board in the town. It's been, and consented to by those boards. There's a lot of need for this facility. We've submitted some radio frequency propagation maps showing that need as we're required to. This is a high traffic, high density, growing area. And under Chapter 178 of the town code, we need a wetland permit because we're going to be in a town wetlands. And so that's what brings us here tonight. We're here to respectfully request that the board open and close a public hearing on the wetlands. And I just want to note to the board, to the extent that there are any technical engineering questions about that, we have Jan Johannesson, our engineer, who is on standby and available to answer any such questions. And that's what we're requesting. We have been. Adam was nice enough to have handed us a memorandum from the town's engineer dated October 4th. We hadn't seen that before, with some comments on that, but I think we can address those. And with that said, I think we're just, we'd like to be respectful of the board's time. And if you have any questions, we're glad to answer them.
Excellent.
Any questions from the board?
No, I've seen this quite a bit.
Me too.
Do you have the notice?
Notice.
Public hearing?
Yep.
Okay, great. We have engineers here, I believe. Is Dan here?
Dan's here. If you want to go over briefly the comments that we've received.
Yes.
You want to just
Go ahead. You got him there.
So we this was referred out. Obviously, this has been gone through a process. We have several responses. Abaca has no objection to the proposal. The Conservation Board would like to, and you've seen these, correct? Yes. Yes, you've seen them and you've addressed them, I'm guessing. Yep. The Conservation Board had a couple of comments about seeing a completed wetland tree mitigation screening and stormwater management plan. Let's see. Planning Board was satisfied with the changes made to the plan since it was reviewed previously. And again, mentioned the filling in with the evergreen trees on the east side of the pad. I know you've seen these and you've dealt with it.
Mr. Supervisor, I'm sorry, I've been remiss. I didn't introduce Klaus Wimmer.
Yep. Thank you, Klaus.
Hi, nice to see you, Klaus.
We do also have comments from Mr. Jabe Kopstein that's in the folder as well. I don't know, Mr. Kopstein, you're going to be speaking tonight as part of the... Okay, that's fine.
Specifically to the permit.
Okay, that's fine. So we did receive written comment from Mr. Kopstein. From the Tree Advisory Commission, the memo dated April 20th found that the Homeland Towers tree planting plan to replace the trees removed and addresses the TCAC's concern, and therefore they have no objection to moving this forward. And then, Dan Ciarci, are you here?
Yes.
Dan, we did receive, like you, we just received the memo from engineering that has 7 points on it. I know you haven't had time to review this, so we'll get to that at a later point in time, I'd imagine. But those are the comments that we have received through the referral process. Also from, obviously, the county, which had no, this is not a county issue.
No objection to them. Okay. Anybody like to make a motion to...
So
anything from you?
No? Motion to open the public hearing.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay.
Anyone who'd like to speak on the application? Mr. Kopstein?
Come on up.
Good evening, Jay Kopstein here in Yorktown Heights.
Dining.
I'm going to read my comment. Normally I don't. Homeland Towers is appearing before the town board requesting a wetlands permit. The board had the responsibility to protect our environment. Building in a wetlands should enhance the board's review of possible environmental impacts. Federal law and regulation significantly restricts the board from reviewing RF environmental concerns. However, the board retains the right to review physical environmental issues and reasonably require environmental protections. First and emergency responders are increasingly using their cellular communications. Although cellular communications are not yet considered to have mission-critical voice communications, they offer mission-critical data, including telemetry. The tower operator, as well as the cellular carriers located on the towers, should each have a continuity of operations plan. A fully utilized tower may have as many as 4 carriers located on it. If it's designed for utilization during power outages, as they should be, this is what will be located on the site. Each carrier would have an uninterrupted power supply, a UPS, a generator, a fuel supply for the generator. This equates to 4 generators and 4 fuel supplies. During an extended power outage, if a generator fails, the carrier's operation on the site will fail. An environmentally friendlier installation would have only 2 generators.
each generator capable of operating the entire site. This design would allow all carriers to continue to operate even if one generator fails or requires maintenance. It should be noted that larger generators that would be needed are less noisy and air polluting, and therefore environmentally friendlier. The overall site cost, when including carrier costs, will not appreciably change. The actual installation cost to the tower operator would increase, while the cost to the carriers would decrease. The tower operator could then increase the rent charge to the carrier to make up the difference. The carrier cost would not appreciably increase. Although the tower operator's business model may not encompass this design, the board should not be concerned with the operator's business model. The total cost for site design, construction, and operation should not appreciably change while improving the physical and environmental friendliness of the project. This concept should be considered for all tower construction within the town. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank
Copson.
you, Mr. Copson.
Anybody else like to speak on the application?
Nobody else? Okay.
Doug, do you want to?
Yeah, just a very quick reply.
Yeah, please.
I think it was noted that we're going in the wetlands. We're going in the wetland buffer, not the wetland itself. Just to clarify that, and I understand the request for 2 generators, but for redundancy purposes, each carrier needs their own generator for safety purposes, and I just think it would be. I don't know that that this board wants to get involved in the minute operational details of how each carrier is doing its business, but each of the carriers have assured us that they need their own specific backup for their own equipment, and that's our request here. That's part of it.
And so you're going to have 4 generators. What size are the generators?
Not necessarily generators.
You got to step up to the mic, Klaus.
It's not necessarily all generators. They also use battery backup.
How large are the battery backups?
Like
They must be significantly large. I mean,
Size of the fridge.
size of a fridge?
Yeah.
And that provides about what? An hour or 2 of
A day.
a day?
Yeah, usually a day.
Can we have his comments?
Yeah. Okay.
So and it could be either 30 to 50 kilowatt generator.
Gotcha.
On the other side. Thank you.
I mean, it's 7 points made by the town engineer. Dan, you still here? Would you like to come up and speak to them, please? Because you haven't received them yet, correct?
We just got it right before the meeting.
Just before the meeting. Okay.
Good evening. Okay, I'll just briefly run through the bullet points on our review. First is related to the floodplains. As best we can tell, there'll be fill taking place within the 100-year floodplain, and in essence what that does is it removes storage available during a storm event. So given our situation with Shrub Oak Brook and what's downstream of it, that separate and apart from the usual type of stormwater issues we deal with, in this case we would be potentially losing storage by losing floodplain. We're also asking that the lines from the FEMA flood maps, the 100-year and 500-year floodplains, be shown on the plans so we can evaluate the impact of where the fill's taking place. And part of that will be for them to just reconcile that the elevation datum that they're using is the same as what FEMA uses to publish their flood maps. And then the more conventional stormwater stuff that we always deal with is just the increase in runoff resulting from taking trees down, putting in a gravel roadway, and mitigating any change that the type of stuff we would normally see in a SWIP. Requesting driveways of the details of the driveway and the yard area. In my records, I don't see that we've gotten the DEC permit yet for the freshwater wetlands. So obviously we'd want that to be a part of the approval. We also need the town permit, and I was not aware that we had received an application on that yet, so that'll have to come in and it needs to be processed accordingly, and there will be conditions that go along with that. And then finally, on the erosion control, just to indicate where if they are proposing to stockpile soil, where that'll be located on the plan. Thank you.
All right,
So then, as far as the loss of storage, would you categorize it as significant or not significant? Are we talking about a lot? I guess that's my
I
question.
think it's significant, but the way you can address it is that they should be, in their developing the plans, they should have calculated how much fill they're bringing in, into the areas that would normally be inundated. So there's a very easy calculation. You just replace it somewhere else.
Okay.
So if they can, in the wetlands mitigation, cut an area down and replicate that storage, then that would address it. It's separate and apart from what we usually get into, where we're looking at there's an increase in runoff
Right.
by virtue of the changes in surface. But also, I think, to make sure also that that any of the equipment they have, that they're setting it at an appropriate elevation so that the equipment won't be prone to damage from flooding. So that's why I think it's important we see that in the map. And, ultimately it would get there when they're pulling buildings permits and the building inspector's looking at it. But it's an issue we should be looking at this juncture for both the stormwater aspect and as well as potential damage to the facilities they'll be building.
And your recommendation to make it part of the approval?
Yes.
If there was, okay. Thank you.
Can I speak to that if you can hear me?
Yeah.
We can hear you.
We can hear you.
Hi, this is Jan Johannesson from Keller Sessions. Just to address Dan's comment there, on our grading plan, we did provide a cut and fill calculation for within the floodplain, and we actually have a net cut of 112 cubic yards. So we're actually providing more storage in the floodplain in the proposed condition than the existing condition. And that's because we're cutting down an area for a wetland creation area, and it's just we end up with more volume in the floodplain in the proposed than the existing. So that calculation has been provided. There was also a flood study that was conducted for this area. We have a base flood elevation provided by FEMA. It's illustrated on the plan, and all of the equipment is actually going to be situated on elevated pervious metal platforms, and they're all going to be set 1 foot above the base flood elevation. So we're up and out of that area, which is a requirement. So that's all provided on the grading plan. Dan, I'm not sure, maybe it was an earlier version you had seen, because
What's the latest rev
we
date on
had the
plans?
soil stockpile, identified on that plan, and a few other things and identified in that memo.
What's the latest rev date on the plans?
It is May 25th.
Okay, I guess that was the plan we looked at. The flood elevation data wasn't obvious.
Yeah, it's a different color contour, and then it's labeled in the legend as the 100-year floodplain boundary, the base flood elevation of 454 or 424.
All right, so I still say we make it your recommendation to make it part of the approval. If they have it,
it's covered. And
yeah, but it's an easy thing. But I say we throw it in there, and you guys don't mind, right? I mean, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, I just want to indicate that we're not going to.
No, I know we're not approving it tonight. I know that, but we'll just mark that down.
In advance of crafting the resolution for it, obviously.
Yeah, we'll include it, and if it's already provided, then no harm, no foul. But it'll be in there.
Okay.
And this will give the applicants a chance to go over these 7 steps here that Dan has laid out. Get with Dan, and we'll get it. You can get it squared away so that we can move forward with this.
And if I may, a lot of these things are going to be addressed in the lease. The lease is subject to all necessary approvals. If they need a DEC permit, they're going to have to get it for it. They get their building permit, so that's not. It's sort of irrelevant to the public hearing to some degree.
Okay.
So we're covered.
I'm sorry. Can I just go back to the point that was made earlier on the generators? Because I remember, I'm just thinking back when we had Quinn and Riley and we had Isaias. Like one of the bigger things that we dealt with was the down cell towers because we had no power for an extended period of time, right? So I just want to make sure I understand what you're saying. And I also want to go back to: is there a requirement? Because I thought there was some legislation that was passed dealing with this specific topic. But is there a requirement where each carrier is required to have their own generator? Because I know, like, we had an issue over with the Verizon tower behind the PD, and they just literally ran out of gas for their generator, and we had no cell coverage, right? So is that a requirement for each carrier gets their own generator, or is that just a proposal that you have?
Typically, each carrier, they like to provide their own backup technology.
Yeah.
In some cases, it's a generator, and the board could specify a size fuel tank where it would run at a minimum 48 hours or 3 days.
For backup, yeah.
For backup, right? That could be done.
Okay.
Generally, they have individual backup plans, the carriers. They are aware of the predicament that happens when...
And so it's the carriers that are
Yes.
requesting... But it's nothing statutorily under the state, I thought, right?
Not that I'm aware of that.
Okay.
Can we
They
get
have
that
different-
information?
they
It'd be crazy not to have something like that, though.
Well, no, I mean, that's one of the things that we learned from those two storms because people were going crazy because we didn't have cell service for the longest time, and we didn't have cell service because they had no backup power. Or the backup power they had
Wasn't efficient.
ran out.
Yeah, that's why I don't know about the whole one date thing. I don't think that's nearly enough, and I don't know if that's really going to, a battery backup the size of a refrigerator is going to provide 24 hours worth of power to, devices that are pumping out at a long range. I mean, these aren't small. These aren't like, your computer in your office. This is like high-powered stuff.
Oh, absolutely.
Mm-hmm. I know.
I think Mr. Kopstein had another comment.
Sure. Yeah. Unless
We haven't closed the public.
Yeah,
hearing, so-
absolutely. We haven't closed it.
First of all, and the gentleman's right in one aspect. If you have a singular generator and the generator goes down and the carrier goes down, as you just mentioned, what's the repercussion? Are we going to tell the 2 fire districts to cover the town, or maybe there are 3 fire districts, I'm not sure, the police agency, the ambulance corps, that they have to fund several cellular phones for each of their members in case one carrier goes down, they can switch to another carrier? Is that what we're going to tell them? When it's perfectly feasible engineering-wise to prevent that, the down from happening. As I said earlier, more and more of our first responders are relying on cellular communications for data and telemetry. If we do our due diligence, we want to enhance their ability to function during a man-made or natural disaster. That's first. Secondly, if we have 4 generators and 4 fuel supplies, does that mean we may have 4 oil tanks in the wetlands buffer? Each carrier responsible for their own? And council didn't mention anything about a continuity of operations plan for both the tower and the carriers, something the town can mandate and review. Thank you.
So, Jay, 1 second, Jay. So you're saying, just to make it clear to the public, that if the 4 carriers in this situation shared 2 battery backups, then they would have redundancy. They would have redundancy in generator or battery backup. I mean, it would take a considerably larger battery backup to power 4 carriers.
I'm
I mean,
not
like
talking
the
about
size
the
of a
battery
house. but-
backups, Councilman. The battery backups is one thing. Lasting 24 hours, not going to happen. Not unless it's a huge battery. You have to remember that all RF communications, whether it be cellular or radio, when they are backed up by battery, the battery longevity is dictated by several issues. One, the age of the battery. Two, the weather conditions. If it's colder, the battery is going to degrade faster. And lastly, the utilization rate. The more people who use the communications, the faster the batteries will decay. More people are using cellular communications now than in the past. That's going to get greater, not lesser.
But it also depends on the amount of equipment that's on the battery. So each carrier may have a different amount of equipment. No, and that's really how you size a battery backup. You don't just say, well, this will last 24 hours, this will last 36 hours. It's not that simple. The calculations are not that easy. It depends on the equipment that's actually being powered, that would potentially be powered by the battery backup, the said battery backup for that provider. That's how it works.
Been involved with emergency communications for many, many years. I can tell you that the design of the battery that goes in also includes the utilization rate.
Of course.
Because transmitting uses energy. The higher the utilization rate, the less time you will have on the battery.
Absolutely.
So,
also the amount of equipment that you have on the battery.
Absolutely.
Right. No, I understand.
So I would ask the town board to do its due diligence. That's all.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jay.
Thank you, Jay.
Just come on up.
Yeah,
come on up. That's what we're here to do.
Like you mentioned, each carrier has different equipment. They have different power requirements. So, and actually battery, more common backup is a generator. And on our site plan, we have set aside an area for propane storage tanks that could accommodate 4 storage tanks, one for each carrier.
Can we get what the backup is going to be for each carrier? You know,
the propane.
No, what the generation system is going to be for each carrier, and how they're going to work that. Is it going to be battery? Is it going to be generator? Is it going to be?
It's usually generator. I mean, I mentioned battery because once in a while they use a battery cabinet. Typically, they put in generators, and they vary. Verizon uses 50 kilowatt. T-Mobile uses 30 kilowatt. So they have different specifications.
Yeah, but to Mr. Kopstein's point, if they share generators, then the generators would be redundant in and of themselves for the carriers. So each carrier, instead of having one generator per carrier, even if you put 4 generators, but they were cross-wired, and so this way everybody's sharing, you would need a larger generator, right? So we're not addressing that issue because now you're powering 4 carriers and that amount of equipment by the same generator. You wouldn't be able to use the same generator. You'd have to use a larger generator. I get that. Exactly. But to Mr. Kopstein's point, and it's a good point, it would be redundant generators. Mm-hmm. I mean, when I do IT cabinets and we put servers in and racks, we usually pick up servers that have dual power supplies, and then we put dual battery backups in them, and the battery backups are connected to independent, home runs to the electrical panel. So if one trips, the other one is there, and if one battery backup goes bad, then it's plugged in. The servers are plugged into both. I mean, he makes a good point.
Absolutely.
But I don't know how the carriers do business and what their requirements are. They might have internal requirements as well,
which I'm sure they share with the consumer, right? Like when you go into like AT&T or Verizon or whatnot, they usually tell you how they support or the radius. Like, I mean,
right.
Maybe I'm
their
coverage, yeah, because I know that I have better coverage. I had to move actually my service depending on what was available in that area,
right.
And they were able to tell me that. So,
what we're discussing here though is the backup. Should we have a major outage like we had during those other storms, and we had them run out, there was no cell service, we had no communications, so the redundancy of backup, I think, is something that we definitely have to look into.
Absolutely.
And I know that we're moving forward, technology, but having my husband works obviously as an EMS person, and we have a landline simply just to prevent what Mr. Copstein's saying, because, and he encouraged all my family to get a landline for the state of emergency. It's also easier for them to track, which I think is also something that you're saying, because it is the data that they need. And this is obviously for the first responders and in case of an emergency, not just to call our friends, the information base. And so I think we're bringing back more of the landlines for that simple reason.
Correct, and let me just point out that AT&T, who is interested in co-locating here, they also build out the FirstNet responder network throughout the country, so that's part of it.
That's part of their sell.
Yeah, and then you're putting it at the top. I remember that whole conversation. You're giving it priority.
Right.
Yeah.
If I may, these are all excellent points.
If you just go to the mic, please.
Excellent points, and we should all be thinking about them. But just
could we have one conversation up here, please?
just to keep focused, where the focus and the reason for this evening's public hearing is the wetlands and the impact on the wetlands. That's one point. And also, four backups are definitionally more redundant than two backups. Why? Because if you have two carriers who are linked to a single shared backup, if that goes down, then two carriers go down. And that's why the carriers generally prefer their own backups. It's safer in case that there is some form of catastrophic event.
But do the carriers, I'm going to say, commingle the battery backups with each other, the generators? Because we're not really talking about battery backups. That's going to be inefficient or insufficient.
Typically, I don't think so. I'm going to defer to Klaus on that. But
So you're saying it's redundant because if each one is on their own battery backup, if one of the battery backups goes down, that carrier only will go down.
Yeah, that's it.
What Mr. Copstein is saying is if they're all sharing the battery backups, if one battery backup goes down, that carrier that's dedicated to that one battery backup, that one generator, would not necessarily go down because it would be harnessing the power from one of the other three battery generators that will still be running.
I'm not sure.
And I think that's what Mr. Copstein's
We're
point is.
proposing four different ones. And
right.
So, yeah, if one goes down, then the other three are good. But if you have four carriers sharing two systems, two battery backups, propane backups, if one of those battery or protein backups goes down, then two carriers go down, as opposed to a single one. Klaus, is that about right? I believe so, yeah.
All right, are we talking battery backups or are we talking generators?
However they use
generators. I think we're
generators
talking
or battery
generators.
backups? I mean, I think this is getting into the weeds here. But so each carrier will have its own generator, is what we're saying, and each generator will just take care of that particular carrier.
Correct.
They don't cross-generate to either one, so on and so forth.
That's
correct.
Right. And they have their own equipment.
They don't support each other.
They don't support one another. Yeah,
So if one generator goes down, to Mr. Copstein's point, then that carrier goes down.
Yeah.
Right. And his point is if they share the generators, then if one generator goes down, you still have three generators that are going to be providing power to four companies. Is that right, Mr. Copstein?
I thought he was proposing two generators to four companies, which would mean that if one of the two generators for the four companies go down, then two carriers go down rather than a single.
Not what I said, sir.
No, the four, Mr. Copstein's point is that the four companies would all be connected to both generators. So this way, if so the generators are redundant themselves, but you would need larger generators. I mean, the reality of it is if you're going to have one generator that's going to have the physical ability to support four carriers, the thing's going to be gigantic.
Yeah, and again, the focus of this evening's hearing is impact on the
But we want to address his concerns, right?
Yeah.
That's what we do here.
Understood. But just as far as the focus of this evening's proceeding, it's going to be the same impact in the buffer.
Okay. And the engineer wants to put in those stipulations, so I'm fine with it.
Yeah.
John, Mr. McMullen wants to speak.
Yeah, John.
Yeah, like Jay and Sergio, my whole experience is in electronics and telecommunications. And you have to remember when you talk about doing due diligence, that if there is a natural disaster, there's going to be 2 times the amount of traffic 1.5 times the amount of traffic, 4 times the amount of traffic. So that's more restrained. And Jay's point about if they're individual, you can't have your emergency services people say, "Oh, gee, Verizon's down. Now, do I have a T-Mobile account?" That's not going to work.
Right.
I think both models provide some form of redundancy in their own way, but you would have to calculate the amount of power usage, the amount of equipment, and then you'd have to cross-reference that to a generator that would be able to provide that successfully and efficiently. And I think if you got all 4 carriers on one generator, because both generators would have to provide power to both to 4 providers in this case, right? It would have to be able to do both. So if you're on one is providing everything. If you're on the others provide. Maybe when they're both operational, you have 2 and 2 in your scenario. But that would be, I mean, you're probably talking about significantly larger generators with significantly larger tanks, but the tanks would be less. I think we need to talk about that. But at this point, I don't have a problem with the.
We also have limitations in terms of.
If you're going to speak, please speak at the microphone.
We also have limitations in terms of space and lease areas and compound areas.
Yeah. And the amount of space that has to if they're most likely going to be propane anyway, they're not going to be oil tanks and so on and so forth. So they're most likely going to be propane. You have to have the propane so far away from certain things, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And this is a public hearing about the wetlands, although we are taking into consideration exactly where Jay go. There is
He's here.
Exactly what Jay says also, and possibly gentlemen can take that into consideration also when developing these sites and site. Dan, do you have anything further on this?
I'm going to speak to the power resiliency, but believe it or not, it has to do with the wetlands.
Okay.
The site is proposed on propane. To my knowledge, there is a gas line, natural gas line in Hill Boulevard. And I know sometimes there can be issues having that gas connection be done in time for this to happen. But if we show a future natural gas connection on the plan, then the applicant, because the applicant wouldn't have to go back to the DEC, wouldn't have to come back to us. And in terms of resiliency, during an event, if you run out of propane, you're out of business. The natural gas would provide a more robust solution to providing power.
Fueling problems that we may
Right.
have in the
You don't
future.
gotta, in the middle of a storm, trying to get a propane guy out there could be problematic. So I think so by putting it on the plan as future, even if they never do it, if they decide to do it, they don't have to come back to amend the permit.
Amend the permit for the wetlands and all that sort of stuff. So, so I think what we're going to give you some time to digest this particular memo that the town engineer has given to you guys just today, I guess. And does anybody else have anything for this? Go ahead, Bob.
Just one quick comment.
Yeah.
I too have a lot of experience in the area that everyone's talking about. It's really going to be up to the carriers to decide how they're going to configure their systems. So you might want to ask who the 4 carriers are and ask them to come in with a presentation to tell about their backup and resilient, ability to continue to operate in adverse conditions.
And how they do it exactly, and how how often do their generators break down, during a event, something on that nature.
They all likely have service level agreements, which when you sign up with them, they tell you about, how quickly they'll restore the service and why you want to use their service. So that's another thing that can be provided to satisfy, the comments.
Okay. All right. I think that's nobody else for.
You're itching.
You're itching. Come on up.
So if the board wants us to submit additional information as to the specifics of that we anticipate for each individual carrier's plans, that's something we'd certainly be willing to consider and accommodate as best we can. Would the board entertain closing the public hearing? We think that the comments that we've received can be quickly addressed through a dialogue with the town's engineer, and so that's where we are now.
Thank you.
I think probably what we're going to do is, at this point, we're not going to close it. We'll adjourn it until the following meeting, so that you gentlemen can answer the engineer's requests here and get back with us with some of those other specifications.
And I had spoken with Adam just broadly about time frames, and he said there might be some possibility that we would have resolutions for consideration at the next meeting. If we're able to have a productive dialogue in between now and then, is there any reason we can't proceed on that similar timeline?
As long as the engineer comes back with the positive reports of what you give him back, I don't see why we can't. I don't know what that timeline is, though, so I can't adequately speak to that. Adam, could you give us that?
Yeah, I mean, generally I said if the public hearing was closed and things went off without any issue, they could anticipate probably having resolutions ready for the next general meeting, not the organizational meeting in January, probably the second meeting in January.
Right.
Which, if Dan's concerns are addressed, which they seem like they probably will be, that timeline still seems achievable from my perspective. I mean, I don't see any reason why that wouldn't be doable.
Yeah. So at this point, I'd like to make a motion to adjourn the public hearing until the next, not the organizational meeting, but the next town board meeting.
Motion.
Anybody?
Second, if you make the motion.
Okay.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry, Lou.
No, I guess I just opposed simply just because I feel like the generator part is actually going to be something that's going to come later on based on, like, we can't tell Verizon how he does his backups. So
Right.
I guess I just want to make sure that I'm correct. I thought this was simply about how they were going to put up these towers and if they were going to follow, obviously, the proper departments. Let me say, the initial departments, like the zone, like, the engineer and all of his needs. And I would assume those would have been addressed as well. But
So they just got the engineer's memo today.
Today.
So there are some things they say have been addressed, but there's some things that haven't. That's
Oh,
the
okay.
only reason we're going to adjourn, see if they could get get everything dialogued with Dan before the next meeting, and then we could reopen, close, and if we're at that point ready to vote on it, we can do that.
Close it.
then
and
can
vote on it.
can I just confirm that the memo that was the revision that Dan should be looking at is the one that he was given in May? Is that correct?
Plans.
The plans, Mr. Johansson? Did he mention?
My last plan said is in May.
Okay, great. So and our engineer confirms he has those. Okay.
right.
Okay. Just want to make sure that we're looking all at the same.
Oh, let's get together, as Luciana said, with the engineer, and let's get these points answered so that we can move forward with this.
And if what's the date of that next meeting?
Oh gosh, the 2nd in January, right?
I can
So it's,
call the clerk tomorrow if that's.
Yeah, you can call.
The 10th.
Give you a
Yeah.
buzz tomorrow.
I might not be here for that. The 3rd, I think it's the 3rd.
The 3rd is our organization.
Third is an organizational meeting.
I think it's the weekend after.
Well, the
week after.
10th would be a work session.
It'd be a work session anyway, right?
Okay.
That makes 17th would be the regular.
17th would be the regular.
Yeah, January 17th.
Anything else we can? Any other questions or anything? Okay.
I don't think so.
All right.
I just want to make sure we have all the. No, I just want to make sure we have all. We're looking at all. We're all looking at the same thing.
And if you had some of those, Klaus, if you could have some of those, that information with regard to the generators and so on and so forth, I think we kind of got into the weeds here a little bit.
Yep.
But let's see if we can tie all these things up and let's move this forward.
Okay. Thank you all for your time.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Thank you.
Thank
Happy
you.
holidays.
Councilwoman, how are you voting on that? Voting for or against?
I guess I was against, right?
Well, but what do you want to do now?
Oh, I'm okay now. Yes.
Okay.
I didn't know how it works because I've never done that before.
Yeah, never change vote.
All right.
I never changed my vote.
I'd like to open up courtesy of the floor. As a reminder, you can always contact us. You don't have to wait for courtesy of the floor. You can always call Town Hall. our town officials, our town departments. We are here to work for you. You can visit us on the town's website, www.yorktownny.org. You can find all the contact information for everyone here on the dais, town clerk, even the town attorney, and of course your elected officials. As a reminder, there's a 3-minute limit to your comments for courtesy of the floor. We ask you keep them directed to the town board. And we ask that, as always, that your comments remain focused and respectful. Okay. Anybody for courtesy to the floor?
First.
Bob, are you up first?
I jumped up
Or-
there. Yeah, I jumped ahead of some
I think Bob's up first.
But you listened to every word with bated breath I said.
Oh, I
didn't you?
knew it was this. I knew it was this.
I'm not going in, Bob.
Tom, are we on with the wall there? All right, we got the shot.
I think
So
Mary should be
this-
part of the
I am
plunge.
not jumping in
This
this
is our
lake.
second.
Mary, you should go do the plunge.
The Friends of Yorktown Parks and Recreation is in existence for 2 years. We've been holding events. This is our second Polar Bear Plunge. It's a fundraiser. Now, last year, Councilman Sergio, Supervisor Slater was in, and
Doing it.
Luciana, you were there.
Not
now,
doing it.
I got one yes of the three of you.
Nope.
I have Superintendent Moderano,
I'm still
myself,
cold.
Mike Matone, and Sean Murphy. We're looking for more jumpers.
Sean Murphy.
Okay? All
I
right.
challenge.
So,
I
I
challenge
need help.
everybody at this table.
Nope.
I challenge you
Listen, I went in.
to jump in.
So we
Are you
do good
jumping in?
stuff.
I'll jump in.
Oh, there
Now,
you go.
I will be there with camera.
You will be
Oh, man.
supervisor at that time, correct?
Yes.
All right. EMTs
So
will still be there.
no need to
Yeah.
worry. No need to worry. We have the fire,
I want a
ambulance
defibrillator,
there.
please.
Defibrillator.
Freezing toes.
So
This is Bob's sale pitch. Don't worry about it. We'll have the ambulance there. Oh, yeah. Just like, okay, I'll do it.
As a
Yeah.
deputy
That's that.
supervisor at the time.
I
That's
need
some
your
sales
help.
pitch.
I need more jumpers. Okay, so.
Oh, and how about the backhoe that broke the ice?
More jumpers.
Jim, are you going in?
So,
All right.
Yeah.
all my time. But Matt, thank you for your service.
Oh,
And this is a little something for you. It's a Christmas gift.
I thought it was a puppy. I got excited.
no, look what they do.
Or a kitten.
Look what puppies do. When you get a new puppy, it gets your nose.
I know what these are.
Aw, thank
I
you.
know what these are.
You know what they are.
I know exactly what they are.
And you got 3 of them.
I went to the Freight House Cafe in Mayapack and I told them that we had these.
I
What?
have
Thank you,
buckets
Bob.
of them.
Why don't you tell everyone what they are?
So these are. Thank you.
See these?
These are.
Thank you,
railroad
Bob.
spikes that I collected over the last 20 years.
Oh,
when I used to walk with my labs
Yeah.
along from Millwood up to Somers. And I'm someone who's always doodling with stuff.
Stand by the mic.
Buckets are sitting there rusting.
Tom's yelling at you. Stand to the mic.
And I'm sitting there looking at these buckets, and I go, why don't I clean them up and paint them? And they've been sitting there for a few years, and I go, now it's time to give them away.
There you go.
So you've
They're
got
beautiful.
original.
John Tegeter would like these.
The weight of this, I thought it was coal.
From the
I
old
have
hut.
a couple of boxes of coal, and I was going to slip it in. I
Hey,
go,
I think I showed
somebody's
you these,
gonna
right?
knock
Did I
me
show
out
you
if I
these?
did that.
Right, when you came into the
Thank
office?
you, Bob.
Wait,
So
Bob,
thoughtful.
I missed that. Where's this from? I missed it. I'm sorry.
The
old putt line.
Oh.
putt line. If you walk that,
That is really cool.
If you
Yeah.
walk
It's
that
so
in the
cool.
springtime, you will find iron objects
January 7th.
everywhere
I gotta
along
get
the side.
Yeah, you're
This
nuts.
will be part of my new barn. Thank you, Bob.
Oh, I love that.
Thank you. Thank you, Bob.
Thank you,
Thank
Bob.
you.
Need approval from the ethics board to take these?
Yeah, yeah. No, I think they're under
$25.
$99.
Yeah.
25? No, 99.
Red, white.
99.
I like Bob. By the way, I like how you gave me red, white, and blue. Thank you.
Oh, that's so sweet.
That's cool.
All right.
Very good. Thank
Good
you, Bob.
evening
Thank you.
again. First,
Jay.
Supervisor Slater, we are losing an extraordinary town supervisor. Now, Assemblyman-elect Slater, you have a task when you get to Albany. Write this down. Section 1174A of the Vehicle and Traffic Law
1174A.
has to be amended to allow school districts to install cameras on school buses to record the license plate of the vehicle that pass stop school buses when their stop arms are deployed.
Yeah.
Acting Supervisor designate Diana. We need a local law and a county law to institute the same. And Matt, the warning, The diner on the Taconic in Columbia County is not there anymore. Get yourself a good insulated coffee cup.
Thank you, Jay.
Thank you, Jay.
Yeah, it's closed. Anyone else for courtesy?
Anybody else for courtesy of the floor? Hi, Dottie.
Yes, as president of Circolo Da Vinci, I want to thank you, Matt, for number one, being interested enough in our organization to come to a meeting and sit there and listen and approve of everything that we did. And we're going to miss you. I wish you all the best of luck in Albany, and let them have it up there.
Thank you, Dottie.
Right.
Really appreciate that.
Dottie,
Thank you.
we changed his name. We call him Mateo now.
He does.
Supervisor Mateo.
Evening, everyone. Happy holidays.
Hey.
My name's Kevin Burns. Burns with an S. As opposed to the outgoing assemblyman, that's Kevin Byrne.
I think I called him Byrne, didn't I?
No, you called him Burns.
Burns.
It
you know.
always happens.
It always happens.
It always happens. But
Tomato.
real quick, Sergio,
Tomato.
I didn't know you grew up on Belmont Avenue. My dad was a fireman at the firehouse on Belmont Avenue.
That's
Was he?
awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was about 3 blocks up from me.
Okay.
I know exactly where that firehouse is. Yeah.
Mr. Supervisor, tonight I'm speaking as the chairman of the Yorktown Republican Party. I just want to say that the Republican Party is very proud of you for what you've accomplished in your short time on this earth. I mean, you come to think of it, I was a rookie policeman when you were an infant. And you were my predecessor as chairman of the Republican Party, and I've learned so much from you. So I just want to say thank you for that. We are definitely going to miss you in this town. But we look forward to everything you're going to do as state assemblyman. And Bob Noble took a lot of what I was going to say. But we do anticipate you going places. You know, this is just the next step. But we are very proud of you. We're very happy for you, and congratulations.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Kev. Appreciate
Thank
that.
you, Kevin.
Thank you.
Burns.
Burns.
Hi, Mike Capalbo. So, Matt, thank you for your even-handed stewardship for the town and your dedication to Yorktown, and for everything you've done. You will be missed. And I'd like to congratulate you on your victory and your next step. That's a great accomplishment. And I'm hoping and I know that you'll be a fierce warrior against the tyranny that is coming down on the citizens of this state from an unhinged governor and legislature. So we're hoping that you will fight for us, and we have your back and will help you in any way you need.
Thank you. Thanks, Mike.
Thank you. Hi, Susan.
Hi, good evening.
She's still smiling because her name got on the plaque.
That's right.
You can thank the A-team over there for that.
And there's cookies.
And there's cookies and coffee.
And the cookies and coffee bag.
Yeah.
I've missed
Those
that
help
before.
too.
That's
You can
why I
thank
used
the
to come
clerk.
to the meeting.
Yeah?
Matt, I
That's
just wish
funny.
you all the luck in your next career.
Thank you.
Tonight I want to say something about transparency, a word that this board likes and uses frequently. And it's, I have a question for you tonight, and it's about transparency. Do you believe it was transparent for the town to redact 4 pages of a 6-page report in response to my FOIL request? Here are the pages. Page 1, page 2, totally black. Page 3, totally black. Page 4, half black. Page 6, partially black.
There's another one.
Oh, and here's 6. Okay. Do you consider the degree of redaction consistent with your repeated statements that you're a transparent board? The document I just held up was a report prepared by the outside attorney you hired to investigate a leak of an ethics board report. The report was highly critical of the planning board member who resigned after the report was leaked. The redactions were made by the town's 3-member FOIL's Appeals Committee after my initial FOIL request was denied. It was denied because the town attorney said it fell under the attorney-client privilege exemption, which it didn't because the attorney had already discussed the contents of the report in public. The Appeals Committee consists of the town attorney, Adam Rodriguez, Comptroller Pat Caparel, and Councilman Ed Lachman. Once the report was discussed in public, the public was entitled to see the report, with limited redactions if necessary to protect personal privacy or text that was considered confidential by law. But the report's entire section dealing with the investigation was redacted. Every word, every sentence, every paragraph, everything. And the Appeals Committee gave no explanation or legal justification for the total redaction. What privacy issues needed to be protected? The names of the members of the Ethics Board and the Town Board are public. So is the name of the reporter who leaked the story. What confidentiality provisions in what law sanction the redactions? Just because 3 people say it was confidential doesn't make it confidential. Given the heavy-handed redactions, the public has no idea how the attorney conducted the investigation. For example, how many people did he interview? 1, 5, a dozen? We simply don't know. So since I'm assuming that you all received a copy of the unredacted report, I'm asking each of you to comment tonight, when you close courtesy, on whether you believe that that extent of the redactions was necessary, and if so, would you please explain why? Or I'll give you an alternative. If you agree that the Appeals Committee went too far, and in the spirit of transparency, which you always espouse, will you consider releasing a revised copy of the report with only legally required redactions? Thank you.
Thank you, Susan. Anybody else for cert? There he is. Hello.
Anthony Pichette. First of all, I want to say thank you to my wife for watching the little one and letting me come. But really, I wanted to come to just say thank you. It's my, obviously my first year, and I went direct right to you like everyone else is. No matter what else, some of the stuff that was said, I feel like it's been mostly, in my dealings with you, apolitical, straightforward. Yep. I keep talking about the same thing, and you keep listening. And when we were talking in your office, it was kind of neat to hear how receptive you were and some of the ideas that you came with too. So ever since I've come in here, it's just been you made it very comfortable. A couple things I wanted to just ask to follow up, if I could. I know we talked in your office about the speed limit reduction that you're allowed to do since August. I wanted to make sure, but August is when the bill was signed to be able to lower it to 25 in certain areas. That's something you could do before you leave, or maybe you could consider. Also,
this is my last meeting, so I won't be able to do that.
Really? You won't be doing anything else? Okay. Well, the
like
next
that.
step too. I'm not going to forget about you. I'll see you, I'm sure, around and be like, hey, let's talk about street safety and walkability and that kind of stuff. And that's really cool about the grant that was provided. I saw that news. That was really nice. And and if you want to talk about roundabouts as well, per our discussion, because I thought that was a kind of exciting thing to do.
Experts sitting right
in the back there.
I see him. The experts on roundabouts. Phil, raise your hand. There he is. Dr. Phil in the house.
Great.
One of my favorite things.
Good. Okay. I think that was the last thing I want to talk about. I also wanted to ask you if you could comment on. We talked about this before. I'm sorry, Councilman. I wanted to see if you would talk about what do you think would. I was reading this great book, Walkability City. It was great. I mean, actually, it was in the back reading a little bit. But they talked about businesses coming in, whether they're attracted, when they come, they want their employees to kind of be accustomed to the town, and have things to do, basically. So I guess my question to you, if you can comment, is do you think businesses would come here? Are you trying to draw bigger businesses to come here and then people will move here? Or are you trying to get people to move here first and then the business will come from there? So I just wonder what your thoughts on that. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, Anthony. Okay, anybody else for courtesy to the floor? Okay, could I get a motion to close courtesy?
Wait.
Sorry.
No problem.
All right, good evening, Supervisor Slater and members of the town board. Sarah Wilson, 31-year resident of Yorktown. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank the supervisor and the town board for their leadership in enacting a variety of climate-smart measures during Supervisor Slater's term of office. Yorktown registered its intention to become a climate-smart community in December 2009 by passing the CSC pledge under the administration of Supervisor Don Peters. In 2020, the town took the significant step forward of setting a goal to become a climate-smart community, certified as a climate-smart community. Certified communities are the foremost leaders in the state. They've gone beyond the pledge by completing and documenting a series of actions that mitigate and adapt to climate change at the local level. The first step was to establish the Climate Smart Community Task Force and provide assistance from town staff. Thank you, Kira.
18.
And Robin Steinberg.
Robin, yes, absolutely.
To establish a baseline for the town's current emissions and then recommend, implement, and document the actions that reduce those emissions. Those efforts paid off in July when the town was designated a climate-smart community and was awarded the bronze level certification by New York State DEC. Among the actions the town undertook to achieve the certification were developing the municipal greenhouse gas inventory, enacting ordinances about solar arrays and solar batteries, streamlining the permitting process for battery energy storage systems to reduce energy demand and power outages, converting street lights to LED lights, upgrading lighting at the Hart Library, adopting an environmentally preferable purchasing policy, promoting enrollment in community solar through Sustainable Westchester for our residents, creating a food scraps recycling center at Downing Park, adding the first hybrid police vehicle to YPD's fleet, supporting the installation of EV chargers around town, including on town property, and passing enabling legislation needed to participate in the Westchester Power CCA program, among many other things. I appreciate the focus that Supervisor Slater has had on this program, and I hope that even after his departure, the town will continue to lead from the front and continue the good work that is underway in our town. There's always more to be done in terms of protecting our trees, our woodlands, our watersheds, our air quality, reducing waste, and reducing emissions. But for now, you should be justifiably proud of the progress made in this area during your administration. Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah.
Thank you, Sarah. Hello, Ken.
Good evening, Ken Belfer.
Hey, Ken.
This is a personal comment to you, Matt. Listening to everything tonight, which was very moving, but I thought of the fact that we haven't always agreed on everything. We've had a lot of disagreements, and I thought back to the very first one that I remembered, which was when you were a candidate for supervisor.
Okay.
And you had a press conference about Lake Mohegan, and you said some things which I disagreed with, and I did it publicly. And after that, you reached out to me, and I thought this is all just political rhetoric. It probably doesn't mean anything. We sort of had Lake Mohegan described as a hidden gem in the town of Yorktown, and I always felt, well, it's not hidden to those of us around the lake and who use it, but I always felt it was almost hidden to the town and to the town board, in fact. And so I didn't know, I didn't know you very well, but you reached out, you asked questions, you wanted to learn, and you indicated that you were really serious about your concern about the health of the lake and the future of it. And you've lived up to that in every way during your tenure.
Thank you.
And you've been receptive to everything we've asked. The work isn't done, as you know. We've got a lot to do.
Stop it.
But I just want to, I've appreciated working with you during your tenure here. I feel like I have a double loss because not only am I losing you as Yorktown's town supervisor, but Lake Mohegan isn't in your assembly district either.
At least currently.
At
See what happens in the spring.
In the reorg.
Next redistrict.
Or redistricting, rather.
Anyway, I just wanted to thank you very much and wish you all the best.
And Ken, I owe you a paddleboard ride.
Yes.
I haven't forgotten that.
That's awesome.
Thanks, Ken.
I want to add two things to that. Right from the very beginning, everything that was done for the town of Yorktown by any elected official, be it Democrat or Republican, Matt publicly thanked Kevin Byrne, George Latimer, everyone. That was extremely impressive. There was no partisan thing. The other thing that happened during the beginning of the pandemic, I stopped Matt here and I said, are you happy now that you got this job? And he said, this is just where I got this job.
Remember that?
Thank you again.
Right there, I remember.
Thank you, John.
Thanks, John.
Anybody else for courtesy of the floor? Get a motion to close
Motion
courtesy
to
of the
close
floor.
courtesy of the floor.
May I get a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay. Adam, I wonder if you could possibly answer a couple of Susan's questions on that particular redacted foil.
Yeah, sure. I was hoping you'd ask. If I recall correctly, I think I do, Ms. Siegel's appeal was actually granted. So the report, which was originally withheld, was provided in redacted form. And the reason it was provided in redacted form is because, as you indicated, Mr. Harrington mentioned certain recommendations publicly. So to the extent that could be construed as a waiver, those portions of the report were not redacted. But that does not mean that the remainder of the report is not still a privileged communication or covered by other privileges. What your argument seems to be, although you haven't characterized it this way, is that there's some sort of broad subject matter waiver by, merely saying, I've reached certain conclusions. That the waivers of attorney-client privilege and other protections don't apply that broadly. They're much more narrowly construed. The appeal, in my view, was properly decided, and I don't really have much more to say other than that.
Thank you, Adam.
Thank you. Anybody else have any comments from courtesy of the floor?
Yes, to address Anthony's comments, the question you ask is, what came first, the chicken or the egg? I've been in a lot of meetings with a lot of developers, even when we were seeking somebody for a hotel here in Yorktown, something larger than the boutique hotel that is currently, in at the forefront of everyone's discussion. Everybody always came back to me and said, you don't pass the market study. They do these market studies. There's not enough traffic. There's not enough traffic there. And we would always, and a lot of these conversations I was with Matt on.
Yep.
And we would always turn around, and the first thing we'd walk in, remember you were there too for that hotel on White Plains?
Yeah, you were down there. Yeah, you were down there too. Yeah, that's right.
So
Keenan Bean.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So what we would always do is say, listen, we know what your market study is going to show because we've been through this rodeo before, multiple times. But your market studies don't capture the true essence of what's going on in Yorktown. It doesn't capture the street fair. It doesn't capture the things that are bringing in the traffic that they so desire, and so that's part of the issue. So I don't know, what we should do first. I think we need to attack this on two tracks. We need to try to bring the people in. We need to try to bring the people that are here in town to shop here in town. And I think what we also need to bring in the businesses. A lot of people always tell me there's really not a lot of places to eat in Yorktown. I disagree. I think there are some. Jewel of the Himalaya is a great place. I don't know how many people really go there, but it's a different type of food. And you have to like that kind of cuisine. It's a great restaurant. The Gramercy. You got Hudson Valley Steakhouse. You got Furcy's. You also have comfort food places. You have the Yorktown Grill. You have Game Day. There are a lot of things to do here. I think what we need to do is to attract the businesses. We have to attract the people. We have to bring our people in. And I also think that we need to kind of change the look and feel of the town. This streetscape plan is one of the things that we could do better, and that's why we're doing that. And so that's going to really revitalize that strip. Now we have to kind of redirect people there, and we hope that at some point businesses will start coming in and things will change for the better. Now that's not just in the Heights Hamlet. That's in all our hamlets, and we are always talking about what we could do differently here, what we could do differently in Shrub Oak, what we could do, so we're not just focused on one place, but I think what we have to do is we have to kind of think a little out of the box. And I think that'll attract the businesses that we want, the types of businesses that we want, and maybe get some more restaurants in here. Other than that, you have to do both. And you have to do both simultaneously. And that's really the only way to do it. That being said, Yorktown's a great place right now. It's a wonderful place to live. It's great for families. We don't want to mess that up either. So, you want to improve, but you want to preserve, right? That's our motto. And that's what we're all focused on here.
Mm-hmm. Progress with preservation.
Right. So that's I think where I stand. You've heard some of my ideas already about what I want to do, what I think should happen, and we could discuss that further offline. But I'm very passionate about this whole topic and making everything more walkable. And I know some people say, well, they walk. When we use the term walkability, we're talking about revitalizing a town center, creating a space where, I don't mean walking here to, across the street or down the block or, around the track. That's not my definition of walkability. My definition of walkability is I want somebody to go up and down Commerce Street here in the Heights Hamlet or Main Street in Shrub Oak and be able to stop at a store and stop at a restaurant, have outdoor dining, have some seating, have a coffee shop where they have seating outside. Things like that will really change the character of the business centers. And that's where I stand on that.
Anybody else?
No, courtesy's closed.
Yeah, Willie.
I'm sorry.
Courtesy's closed.
Yeah.
Sorry, Willie.
Sorry, Willie.
Okay, I would like to say thank you to all of those that showed their gratitude and their travels here for Matt. I think that is really, really beautiful. In addressing to Susan, the word transparency, and I say this with the utmost respect, is a word I'm going to use consistently because I truly believe this board is, in fact, transparent. That redacted copy that you requested is what you received. I trust also, just like I am a liaison of multiple commissions and committees, that the intention of the people of Yorktown is ultimately good. Are we always going to do it right? Absolutely not. And at this point, I'd like to say that I'm going to use the word transparency, and I found it incredibly hurtful that you would think that I would use it as a cover, because I truly am not standing and trying to do the optics of what is believed here. I'm here because I truly believe that Yorktown is a community that attracts multiple people for multiple intentions. And so I just want to be clear with the word, because I felt like the second we don't have an answer or we don't give something, then we must be misconstruing something. And that is not the intention, first and foremost. And lastly, I too trust that the appeals committee, just like I trust the boards that we have here and have collaborated, did the right thing. And I agree with what Sergio's saying, but for me, the first part when I look at what we're doing here in Yorktown is we're serving our existing community. And if it invites others to move here, and it allows others, either they're aging out or they're starting anew, and it allows the modality to be both, where we can support our seniors and support our youth and these new generations that are coming, and still have what we need to be a community, so that we're not shopping elsewhere. So we're meeting our friends and family locally. So we're sharing the beautiful trails that we're working hard on with our cousins from down county or in Manhattan or upstate. And when they come here, there's something to share and explore, because we also have the small business resource to collaborate and make those things happen. There's so many amazing. I mean, you have Hudson Milk that can deliver milk to you. We have WP deliveries for food and fresh vegetables. There's so many little things that it would be nice to have those little secrets that come out that are just delicious, that come from where we live and how we're centrally located. And then there's also the beauty of, as we develop our commercial business, we're also supporting the needs of those who exist and live here, and also inviting others to see how we support ourselves and yet still have our doors open for everyone else. And that's kind of how I see it. So I just wanted to share that with you because, you know, I kind of came here for the same reason as you did. I like those pocket parks. I know.
Don't get Jim going.
I know.
I just got one more comment. And one last thing, Ed. I think it's important. You know, what I want in my mind, I want to like open everybody's door and yank them out of their car and tell them to walk around, because Yorktown, especially even Main Street here, it's a parking lot hop.
Yeah.
You move from parking lot to parking lot, and you get out of your car and you do what you got to do, and then you jump right back in your car.
I go home.
So I think changing that somehow would create a different dynamic and make it more of a, you know, small town feel and the kind of thing that I have in my head. And it'll bring out the people that she just spoke about, you know, with like, you know, sidewalk markets or something like that. You know, you could start to facilitate that more often if you could just get people out of their cars.
Mm-hmm. Ed?
Oh, sorry, Ed. I can go now?
Yeah.
Actually, if you don't want to, we can keep going.
I do.
Just skip him.
I wanted to thank Ken and address your comment too, Ken.
Yeah.
Because I know it was towards Matt, but you know what? I think that pretty much everyone on the board has had disagreements or had people disagree with them, and people like to project their thought process on it. But you were open enough to say, well, let me have the conversation. Let me listen to it. You know, unfortunately, there was someone sitting in the room before that thinks that everything is a calculated political move, whatever anyone does. And, you know, I've tried saying, you know, I have a value system that I follow, and that value system is very important to me. And I think that I have found that whether it's been a Democrat, a Republican, an independent, a conservative, anywhere across our board, I have found that we have people, especially in our small town, that run for office because they have a conviction, because they have a value system, and they love their community, and they want to do the right thing by their community. And, you know, I just thank you, and I think that's so important that we're able to have those conversations and listen and find out, because, you know, the worst thing to me is when you look at someone and make up your mind about them without ever talking to them or without knowing what they're about or without having that hard conversation other than like little interactions, you know, across a table. So thank you, because that's really the thing that for me, being in office is about, that we're able to connect one-on-one and really try to do the right thing for our community.
Ed, I just want to piggyback what you're saying for you. Like what you're actually saying, how I'm hearing is like, we're not experts. We're doing what we can, and we're leading with curiosity. And I think that was from our leadership, and that's what we do. And I love that I'm not an expert, that I get to be curious, and I get to explore, and I get to learn, because there are other experts in different modalities.
But Ross Perot used to say, I may not be the smartest man in the room, but I know how to find him.
Amen.
Or her. And that's really what it's about. And, you know, matter of fact, John, was it today I called you? Yeah, I had a question. I wasn't sure. I called John Tegeter quite often. He should be on speed dial on my phone. I call our building department. I call Jim. You know what? It's important. Our clerk's office is a wealth of information, a lot more than I know about. So there are all these different things you could reach out to. And that's what I try to do, and our constituents are huge in that. You know, there are some people that live in our town that'll blow your mind away with the knowledge base that they have. So, thank you for pointing out that those conversations can happen, should happen, do happen, and are a resource.
Thank you.
Can I just say thanks?
Sure.
Just thank you to everyone who came up with well wishes. Jay, I got it. No problem. By the way, as an aside, though, in all seriousness, I've already spoken with Dr. Hatter about a pilot program here in Yorktown. So I hope that comes to fruition. But it is something that we need to fight for. I actually, whenever I see a school bus now, I think of you, and I go diagonal now. That's what you taught me, right? Yes, you did. And so make sure that people don't run those school buses, and especially when they have their stop signs out. But in all seriousness, thank you to everybody for the well wishes. Sarah and Ken, it's been wonderful. It really has been. And honestly, I think it just proves the point. We can either spend time focusing on the things we disagree about, or we can focus on the things that we agree about, and we can do some great things with it, make some real magic, like Luciana likes to say. And so I think we've been able to accomplish that. Dottie, thank you. Chirklo's awesome. Love those dinners. I'll be back. Don't worry. I'm not moving. Everyone thinks I'm moving. I'm not moving at all. My house is staying where it is. And Adam, thank you. Great job as always. I always know you're on top of all those things that fall into your plate. And I agree with Luciana. You know, we have to trust people to do their jobs, do it well. We empower them. We have our Parks and Rec Commission in the back. We trust them to do their jobs. We empower them. Willie's on the planning board. We trust and empower them. Same with everybody else here. You know, we're all adults. We all act accordingly. And everyone does a good job. And that's why this town's so great. So appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody. Sergio's point, business attracts people. People attract business. So if you have the combination of the two, you have a great town. It becomes walkable, more walkable. It may never be absolute walkable, but I invite anybody to go onto the webpage of Carmel, Indiana. My very first WMOA meeting was the mayor from Carmel, Indiana, who took the town and basically turned it inside out, where everything was transversed from the rear. So if you wanted to get from Town Hall to the fruit stand, to the highway garage, to the park, you didn't have to go out on Main Street. Or on Commerce Street. You could walk it. It cut down the traffic by a considerable amount. And Dr. Phil, you'll appreciate this. They put, some people call them rotaries, some roundabouts, some traffic circles, but they used a lot of them to stop the speeders and the accidents that were occurring in their town, along with the streetscapes that we are proposing, which narrows roads. There's a lot of different things that can be done. To Luciana's point, we have a lot of great boards and a lot of great people that work on these boards, and not everything is nefarious, folks. I'm not going to say any more. I'm not going to go any further. I'm done. Okay. I'm done.
Put a nail in it.
Yeah, I got one. Hold on here. Take this. Put it in.
No, I got 3 right here.
Nails?
We got nails all right. All right, let's keep going here.
Okay. We got some resolutions from the town board. I'm going to go through these.
What color's yours?
There's about 15 pages here. They should be quick.
Read each one slowly.
You know,
I'm going to start.
Are you going to do what I do to you?
Yeah, absolutely.
I know you are. Okay. All right. I'm ready.
Do you need water?
Here we go.
Authorize the supervisor to enter an agreement. Authorize the supervisor to enter into an amendment
to the agreement.
With
Limnology.
Limnology. Jesus, this is quite
Information
the
and Freshwater Ecology Inc. for the provision of aquatic pesticide treatments. Ken Belfer, there you go, buddy.
For you.
Yeah, baby.
Just start tap dancing, man.
All right. Authorize the supervisor to execute an agreement with the Law Office of Ingrid E. O'Sullivan for local justice court prosecution services. Authorize the park superintendent to execute an application for the Trees for Tribs grant program, which, by the way, is a really good program. Approve rezoning of 2040 Compound Road, a.k.a. Section 37.14 parcel.
Can we just pause there?
We can pause there.
Kyle, do you guys want to come up? Dr. Phil? Just to make sure that we're all understanding. This is the Wyant project.
Yep.
Okay. And John Tegeter? I'm sorry. Do you mind?
No. Go ahead.
I just want to clean this
'Cause
up.
I was going to
John-
read that and then see what they.
Yep.
What John wanted to do, and then.
I just want to make sure, again, just based off of our conversations from the last time, and then the conversations I've had subsequently, that we properly communicate that with the public, right?
Mhm.
And I know, just Dr. Phil, if you could, the one sticking point that we had, and it wasn't so much a sticking point, but we just need a clarification, right? Was on your work with DOT with this application. So if you could just clarify for everybody, both the board and the residents of the town and the public and those who are still, watching for some odd reason, if you could, you could have binged Yellowstone by this point. If you could just clarify again the plan, intent, what actions you've already taken on behalf of the applicant, and so this way we're all clear. Thank you.
Quick synopsis. About 4 years ago, we started the process, okay? Philip Greeley from Collier's Engineering and Design. So fast forward to the current day, we had developed a plan with this project together with, at the time, there was the Roma project. To improve that section of Route 202. There were land dedications involved. Roma stalled. The plan was to widen, improve that section of 202, put in new sidewalks, and the plans were developed twofold. There were two different plans. One was with access to Hamlin Street, emergency access to 202. The second plan was full access to 202 with emergency access to Hamlin Street. So where we are now, we have a full application into New York State DOT for full access to Route 202. They haven't made that determination yet. Under the plan, the applicant will be widening 202, will be installing sidewalks and all the grading along their entire frontage, so that work would be in place, that if and when Roma or some other entity or DOT or the town wants to continue the last remaining piece, it's all in place. So that is what the plan is, okay? It would include the drainage, it would include, as I said, the sidewalks, all the grading and everything that's necessary to get the sidewalks in. And we have an application in front of DOT at this point in time. One of the processes that was very long was land dedication. So to widen 202, there's a limited right-of-way of Route 202. So the applicant has actually donated land to the state because the state requires the sidewalks fall within the state highway boundary. So that process was just completed. That allows us to move forward with the permit process. The application that's in front of DOT is for the full access to Route 202, and that's under their review right now. And that's pretty much it.
And in your expert opinion,
yes,
do you feel that application is moving in the right direction
Yes.
for full access from 202?
Correct.
And I just think it's important that we understand, and it's just best we can articulate this, because I think it was getting held up a little bit, and there was some confusion. We understand that we can't hold up your plans based on a separate property owner. That is what the Roma is.
Correct.
Right? We're all
Yes.
we're on the same page here?
Absolutely.
Right? But it's clear to, I'm going to say, it's clear to me, based on multiple conversations that we've had since we brought this application back, that this applicant has done everything in their power to move their application forward, to do their part. That is not, that everything they can do without Roma, they're doing.
Correct.
Yes, and that's all we can ask of them.
That's all we can ask for.
At least in my opinion, that's
yeah,
all
I agree completely. But I think there was some confusion there a few weeks back about what is really so I appreciate the time that you've spent on the phone with me and John and Kyle and Joe Rena.
Absolutely.
And making it clear what this property owner, the Wyant property owner's intentions are.
Exactly.
And plans are.
It is your intention
Correct.
to do everything in your power to move this along.
Well, and
Yeah.
do their
Get
to
the
do
improvement.
their
Due
to get their
diligence.
to do what they set out to do with the mini master plan that they control.
That's it.
And it's not contingent upon a separate property owner that you cannot dictate to. It's like your neighbor.
Absolutely not.
It's genuinely their neighbor, but you can't tell your neighbor to go do this.
You can ask.
Go do A because I want to do B. It don't work that way, you know. So, but I appreciate the clarity and the investment in time with our planning department. I know that John has done a fabulous job diving in deep again on this project to make sure that it's what's best for the town, considering the conditions, right, John? And I know we had a couple of rounds of conversations on this, so I really do. Is there any questions that the board has for Dr. Phil? Not just from Collier, but roundabout expert. This is the guy. I'm not saying that because he's known me since the second grade. He's the guy.
We've built the field. Yeah.
I think you've been very, very diligent in where you've gone, and Kyle, thank you to you and your family, because I know that you've really done a lot of work to dedicating the land as money, and you've done a tremendous amount of work to get this right away opened, and it's appreciated. I'm just hopefully we get that full access, and down the line, hopefully Roma comes in, whether it's the current owner or someone new. Thank you.
Anything you want to add, Kyle, or
Do I need to come up? Or?
yeah, if you're going to add something, please.
I think too, we just want to make sure that there's no confusion or clarification. If there's any clarification that's needed, feel free to ask. I mean, obviously he's more technically knowledgeable than I am, but we just want to make sure we leave this with no questions left.
I think the only question we had is knowing that the application is in for full access from 202.
Yep.
Period. Yep. The end, plus all the other pieces to the puzzle that were included in that original plan that you were moving ahead with. So at this point, it's in DOT's hands, but it's clear to me that that's the intention of your project, and I appreciate that.
Thank you.
John Tegeter, anything you want to add to the conversation? I know you've been waiting all night to get up to that mic.
They did very well.
All right.
He approved.
Okay. Anything else from the town board's perspective?
No.
sir.
No.
Only thing I gotta say is that the DeVito family, Kyle's your dad, they go the extra yard. Okay, they want to make sure things are done right. They've been 100% on board, and with everything the town board, the planning department has asked, working with one of the best guys in the field to make sure that traffic situation is done correctly.
Yep.
And I want to thank them.
Yeah, absolutely. So why don't you continue with the resolutions?
Okay.
So we'll approve that. Read that one again, because I stopped you.
Approve rezoning of 2040 Crampon Road, a.k.a. Section 37.14, Parcel 2, Lot 32, on the tax map of the town of Yorktown, the Wyant property.
Do you need a roll call on that?
I'd like to do one on both.
On both? So
Okay.
then why don't we do I'm going to make a motion for the previous three resolutions so we don't muddy this up.
Motion.
All right.
So make a motion to accept the previous three resolutions.
Second.
Motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
So now
So carries.
I'll make a motion to approve the rezoning of 2040 Crampon Road, the Wyant property.
And second?
Motion.
Give a second for search.
All in favor?
Well, no, she's going to do roll call.
Oh, I'm sorry. Roll call now.
Deputy Supervisor
Aye.
Tom Diana, Supervisor Matt Slater,
Aye.
Councilman Ed Lackerman,
Aye.
Councilman Sergio Esposito,
Aye.
Councilwoman Luciana Howard.
Aye.
So then read the next one. It's a roll call again.
Next one. Where the hell is the next one? There we go. Okay. Approved site plan for 2040 Crampon Road, a.k.a. Section 3714, Parcel 2, Lot 32, on the tax map of the town of Yorktown, the Wyant property.
Motion.
Second.
Aye.
Roll call?
Aye.
Roll call vote. We're getting punchy.
Aye.
I was just teasing.
Aye.
Councilman Ed Lackerman,
Aye.
Councilman Sergio Esposito,
Aye.
Councilwoman Luciana Howard.
My name's so long. Aye.
And then you need a roll call on next. Gardena.
Yes.
Gardena.
That's fine. Oh.
Okay. Approved request from 1952 Commerce Street LLC to apply the standards of the Yorktown Heights Overlay District pursuant Chapter 300, Article 31 for Gardena Hotel property.
John, can you just take the podium for me before we do this? John, we received a late memo from the Heritage Commission questioning the difference between unique buildings and landmark buildings. Could you just provide that clarification before a vote is taken?
Okay. Well, the unique buildings that are cited in the overlay district are not landmarked buildings. They did not go through the process to be landmarked, and therefore they do not benefit from any of those legal protections that you would expect and that we know come along with being a landmark building. The reasoning for citing a number of the buildings in Yorktown Heights within the overlay district as unique buildings is to put the developer and the town on notice together, to work together to do the best that both parties can to either preserve, to restore, to reuse, or if it is not going to be reused, to draw inspiration architecturally from it. All of those things. In other words, it is to take into account the existing fabric of the Yorktown Heights hamlet and utilize it as we go forward in developing the hamlet under the overlay district, and that's what it is for. And I think if there's any further clarification, I'd be happy to expound on it, but that's essentially what's going on. So there is no protection against demolition under this law.
Of unique buildings.
Of unique buildings.
Right. Is there any misunderstanding about that? You guys good?
No. Got it.
You're good?
I'll add that we did obviously have conversations with the developer about this very issue, but this board knows, going through the process to the point that you have, that the core proposal of this project does not allow the retention of the existing building that is there by virtue of the needs of that project and the property's size and position in the town.
Thank you, John.
Thank you, John.
Thanks, John.
So I'll make the motion.
Motion.
Second.
Roll call.
Roll call.
Supervisor Tom Diana.
Aye.
Deputy
Deputy
Supervisor.
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 Aye.
Councilman.
Aye.
Councilman.
Aye.
Councilwoman.
Aye.
And I just want to make sure. There we go.
We're getting punchy here.
I just want to make sure that we're clear, stating for the record that this is not a site plan approval of the project. It now just allows this to be referred to the planning board for their good work on the application, and they will go through the site plan review and provide the ultimate, or not, but they provide the ultimate review and approval process for these projects in the overlay district.
Okay,
Continue.
We're ready to go. Authorize, from the town clerk, authorize town clerk to refer out to the appropriate agencies a proposed local law to amend Chapter 300, Section 39B of the Code of the Town of Yorktown entitled Zoning, and set a public hearing. Authorize the town clerk to advertise a bid for laboratory services for the water pollution control plant. From our engineering department, authorize comptroller to release bonds for stormwater permit FSW PPP 005-21 to American Custom Builders in the amount of $16,500. Authorize comptroller to release bonds for wetland and storm water permit WP FSW PPP -004-21 to Marcia Saunders in the amount of $2,500. From our finance department, authorize the supervisor to sign an agreement with the town's insurance broker Arthur J. Gallagher and Company for the year 2023. From our police department, authorize the supervisor to sign an intermunicipal agreement with Westchester County to participate in a New York State-funded Stop DWI program. And from Section 8 Housing Program, authorize the supervisor to sign an agreement with Bartlett CPA PC for accounting services in connection with the town's Section 8 program. May I have a motion?
Motion.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion
Jim,
carries.
Jim, what's up?
I'm sorry?
Oh, I'm sorry. I have one more.
Yes, he has one more coming at a close. You waited all night for that? Yeah. Jim Breeze for the win.
Where are the printouts?
Be it resolved that David T. Nicoshere of Poughkeepsie, New York, is hereby appointed to the Civil Service Title Laborer, Class Code 0425-05, to be paid from the Yorktown CSEA Salary Schedule A, Group 5, Step 1, which is $47,549 annually with benefits such as sick days, personal days, and floating holidays to follow the CSEA agreement. Be it resolved, contingent upon successful completion of a drug test, be it resolved that David T. Nicoshere will report to work at the Parks and Recreations Department on January 3rd, 2023, and this date will be used as the first date of appointment. Be it further resolved that the appointment is subject to a probationary period of not less than 12 nor more than 52 weeks commencing on the first day of appointment on January 3rd, 2023. Can I have a motion?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
Motion carries.
Can I make the next one?
All right,
Yes.
before that one comes, all right, I am challenging the supervisor to the polar plunge.
Nope.
With me. With me.
Nope.
All
Not
right.
happening. I've survived it once.
Is Bob
Yeah, but you wore a wetsuit.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. I still
did
went
I.
out.
It does.
I was told to make sure I was able to get out alive. All right. You good?
All right,
I
you
did
can
have a
do this
tutu.
one.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you again from the bottom of my heart. It's been an honor to serve to this town board. Keep going. Just keep going. We're doing great. With that, we'll make a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Good night, Yorktown. Thank you.
Happy holidays, everybody. Merry Christmas. Happy Hanukkah.